Welcome to this super happy, fun time adventure number 15 podcast where we are all happy and will not name certain players signed to mid-level exceptions.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I am Ha Chow. That was Tyler sending some happy, fun time love at me. And we also
I'm the mediator, Mofo.
Yes, Mofo the mediator. That sounds like a name change waiting to happen.
We're on podcast 15, which means it's caught up to JB's age, and it's too old for dinner to date, so...
Wow, nice.
Oh, yes it is.
This is a season preview podcast where we basically do what we did last year, except we're going to go worst to first. The teams that were at the worst last year go first, and the best teams go last.
Yeah. So Thug's going to have to wait a long time before...
Good. Good. That's the way I like it.
But it's only
for the people who only want to listen to their team. This should give them a good indication of where they have to listen, even though that's no fun.
Right.
Just listen to your own team. It's boring.
And if you only listen to your own team, you're a horrible person, and I'll make sure you don't win in EBL next year.
All right.
That's a threat.
Haj is up first here. He's on...
Statement. I'm on the Boston Celtics.
Yes.
Shocker, they were the worst team last year. This year will also probably be one of the worst teams in the league. But it's better sort of in the future because they have two good young pieces. I like Lewis Miracle or whatever way you want to pronounce that.
It's Miracle.
And Miracle?
It's a miracle.
The Miracle
Whatever.
Man.
I dated a girl with that last name, so...
Hot. Lewis, Tyler's ex-girlfriend Miracle, and Mike Butler, two promising young 19-year-olds. And, I mean, this team does have good players. Kenneth Marshall is obviously still an elite power forward on defense. He's even shown a bit more scoring touch lately. And I find, Joseph Johnson and Charles Matthews are good guys, but, I can only dance around it for so long. This team has, no point guard at all.
It's pretty embarrassing, the point guard situation.
It's like Danny Young is going to be starting at point guard. Danny Young.
Every time he's got minutes, like he started in 2026, he averaged 15 points a game and 7 assists a game in 35 minutes or 33 minutes. That's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awful.
And he's gotten worse since then too. So
that was his peak. So.
Yeah. I mean, you could start Eric Smith, but have fun with his 5 turnovers game. So.
Yeah, you'd be sacrificing turnovers for 5 extra points a game.
Yeah.
And Charles Matthews can't really play point guard. We've already seen last year his passing is just atrocious.
Hey, don't hate on Charles Matthews though. Me and Tyler were talking a little bit about this.
Oh, no, I like him.
I really like this training camp. You see what he went up in outside and defense, which is pretty important for a shooting guard, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as a point guard, he's just not.
Yeah, he's no point guard. But as a shooting guard, I think on this team he can approach 20 points a game possibly.
Easily. I'd say easily, yeah.
He almost shot 50% last year from 3, so he's very efficient, which is always a plus. But, this team has no point guard. But, I mean, they do have two good young pieces, but it's kind of I feel like Marshall might have a wasted career if he doesn't move soon, because, by the time they get enough pieces around him, he's going to be, in his later 30s at this rate. Because they have no picks, either. Boston has no picks. Crib notes. I wrote that down.
True story. Hodge actually did say crib note. I'm going to write that down. So
yes, somehow they've ended up with just the Raptors pick this year.
It's solid building block, really. I mean,
but no, I think they should definitely look into probably trading Marshall. He's obviously there's not exactly a short market for really high quality big men like that. So
the problem with Marshall is the trade he made for him last year was right before the trade deadline. It made no sense at all.
Hey, I mean, it worked out for me, but it was a terrible trade.
Why did he do that? His team was going nowhere, and they're still going nowhere. Why would he do that?
He's droppy. That's why he did it.
I mean, not to steal a page from a famous Twitter account that Mofo and I will know, but anytime your team is going nowhere and you have the chance to trade all of your future building pieces for a 30-year-old power forward who's on the decline, you probably just got to do it. So, I mean,
just gotta roll the dice on that one.
I don't understand any bit of how that happened or what his rationale was.
And another main problem, I mean, they're basically just a 4-man team right now. If he wants to improve in any other way, he can't do it. He's no other assets.
If he wants to improve, he will have to trade Miracle or Butler or Marshall, and all of that will set him back. So
this is a pretty dire situation in Boston.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
The days of Josh are long in the past now.
Right.
But as presently constructed, I think they won't finish last in the East.
I don't think they'll finish last, but
there's a little upside there, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I think they might finish last.
All right, are we rolling on to me or Mofo?
Yes, Tyler's next, and that is Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Yes.
The old Brewers. Oh, wait, that's baseball.
Yes.
The new Brewers. There's a lot of brews going around in Milwaukee because you have to be drunk to watch this team play. Although they got Bart Roser, though. So, I mean, the Bart Roser trade reminded me a little bit of the Marshall trade, although it made a little bit more sense. I mean, Roser's 29. He'll probably play until... I mean, he's good enough to play until he's 35, 36, barring any weird retirement or just sudden drop-off. He'll probably be around for a little bit longer. He couldn't move Farrell in the offseason like he wanted to. I know he was shopping him for a long time, and then I think he just kind of stuck with it and was like, well, if I have Farrell, I might as well get Roser, and I guess that kind of makes sense. But, I mean, they have some good young pieces on this team. They're doing some things. David Guth? I like saying Guth. I'm going to call him Guth. David Guth, yeah. I think he had a really good TC. I mean, he looks like Charles Bond did for a while, back when Bond was good, so hopefully that he keeps progressing and doesn't drop off like Bond did. But I think this team is in somewhat of a good position. Their small forward situation is pretty dire. I mean, Mickey Mitchell is okay, but he cannot defend at all.
Or shoot at all.
Yeah.
Right. He can handle, and he can rebound, so, I mean, that's a thing.
It is a thing.
Keith Weston will probably start for them. Maybe Grunewald. Maybe Willie Ramos. I don't really know. That's a bad situation.
Ugly.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Grunewald could be all right.
I do too, but I think we'll start Weston.
Yeah,
his rebounding would help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This team's probably going to be a little bit better than they were last year, just because they have Bart Roser, but it probably won't be that much better.
You know, the problem I have with Bauer's idea right now, like in the training camp chat, he said he immediately lost the Roser trade because, I mean, he really did give up a lot. He gave up Paulino and Doyle and the Heat burst this year, which is a lot. But
and Paulino looks like a stud. We'll get to him.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I feel like he's gonna resent Bart Roser for the whole season now. Like because he feels like he lost a trade already. He feels like Roser's poison or something.
That sounds like a Bauer thing to do.
And that happens to a lot of GMs too. So
yeah, and so he might like trade Roser for 50% of what he traded to get him.
Yeah, the Tyler method of trading.
Yes.
But I think actually I don't really know. Roser does it small forward, but like you could maybe, if you like, I know the small forward situation. I mean, you don't really want to have to start like Alex Murphy, who's probably the best option right now.
So who would you start? Tadrick Jackson?
Yeah, maybe I don't know, because they could maybe run an inside offense. Cause
that's the same as Mickey Mitchell.
Yeah, he's the same as Mitchell, except he can't rebound.
Right.
But he could play better defense.
Well,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
It's not a good situation either way. Having to start Tadrick or Mitchell.
Right. It's not pretty. And, I mean, they have a few firsts. And by a few, I mean 2.
That counts as a few, so.
Yeah, that does. I guess you could maybe trade those for a small forward. I don't know why I mean, if you were a younger guy, 22 to 26, 27, that might make some sense for him, but there's every chance in the world Farrell might retire after this year. He's 34, and I know players normally play out their contracts, but not every time, so.
Not Terrence Jones, damn it.
I mean, if he loses Farrell and he's just stuck with Roser and Guth, that's going to be a bad situation, so I don't know.
I think I don't know. I'm a little more optimistic for their year.
Yeah, I am too. I'm
seems so open, and I think Farrell and Roser is still like probably an underrated. I mean, obviously Roser is great, but I think Farrell's a little underrated, even though he turns it over way more than he should.
Yeah.
But I mean, he can put up big numbers sometimes.
I think Farrell, Roser, and Guth is good enough to make a playoff run in the East.
Yeah.
Toward the bottom.
Maybe a low seed. Obviously,
that's what I mean.
Like a division challenge or
no, I'm not saying that. Obviously,
I think they'll win the title. So, all right.
Well, there you go.
all right.
Much more confidence than us.
Okay, Phoenix is next. I'll take Phoenix here.
Yeah.
So Jerry, his plan was to get a little cap room and use it to add big men, I guess, but he missed out on a few people. But he ended up signing an underrated Javier Carlin, I think is his name, yeah. But then he went down to training camp, which would just piss me off because his specialty was defense. Now he goes down a little bit in that. That's just frustrating. But I think his plan right now is to start Peter Farmer at center.
Oh.
Which that's pretty much a disaster.
Peter Farmer wasn't good in his prime, much less when he was 30 and way declined.
He could rebound at one point, but that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Falcon Moore is still an amazing backcourt. Those two on defense is just incredible. But he doesn't have a starter anywhere else.
Yeah, there's not much else there.
Carlin can start, but he's probably better as a backup.
Carlin, I think, will be okay starting.
Yes, he's the third best starter on this team.
Yeah. He'll have to hope PJ Hairston just does something. I don't know, finds a time machine or something.
Yeah,
there's 2018.
I'd almost rather start Jonathan Williams. I mean, you know what you're going to get out of Hairston. I mean,
Williams had a horrible training camp though. That's another thing. He went down in handling. But
maybe in an outside offense, Hairston might do all right because he's good at shooting threes. I don't
think Sadie Harrison's washed up completely.
I'd agree.
But when your third most appealing player is Saul Sandin, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Sandin looks like he might be another Michael Carter-Williams, which is appealing, but come on, he's a backup, and he should not be your third most appealing player on the team.
And there's every chance in the world he might not be able to score. I mean, he hasn't played a minute in his career. You never know how much of that inside is actual scoring. So,
I think this team is maybe worse than last year.
I would agree.
Bad last year. I mean, they only won 23 games last year. I think they're pretty much the same. They'll win around 20 to 23 games again this year.
Anytime you're starting Peter Farmer, that is not a thing that should be committed.
And the worst part is, it's not like a bad decision. He's literally, probably the best guy to start, that's bad. That's not a good situation.
He made the same mistake that I made, and I fully own up to this. It was a dumb choice of going after the really big names in free agency instead of maxing a guy like Edgar Sutherland right off the bat, who could have came in and started on this team. Not Edgar Sutherland, Callum Merriman, sorry.
Yeah.
Because Callum Merriman didn't have a max on him at the beginning of day one.
Crimson didn't get home in time or whatever. You wouldn't have had it on him.
I made the same mistake. I should have just maxed Callum Merriman because now we're both in the same spot where we have no real prizes to show out of FA. And if Merriman would have been on this team, suddenly you put Merriman up at center or Carlin up at center, and then you have two very good defensive front courts, and then you only have a situation of small forward to worry about. That could have changed this team drastically. So,
yeah.
The one positive about this team is they have their own pick, unlike last year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Jerry's a good drafter too, so he'll probably get good value out of that pick.
I'm going to go ahead and say for small forward, you might as well give Ed Carrion a chance. I don't know how much he's played. I did not click on his player page. He only played 17 minutes a game last year. He didn't look great, but he's only 21, and
he looks worse than Hairston.
Right, but I mean, at a certain point, you might as well just see what you can get out of him. I mean,
I agree.
FBB ranks him higher than the other two, which not that means a lot, but it means that there's at least maybe something there that would be better. I don't know. So
you know what you're going to get out of Jonathan Williams and PJ Harrison, which
absolutely,
is not much.
Yeah.
So might as well see what we can get out of the unknown guy.
Absolutely, that's the way I look at it. So
well, I like PJ Hairston, so there. That's how I.
All right.
What's not to love?
You should trade for him.
No, I don't like him that. I don't like him that much. He's even too old for my team. So.
I like him, but not enough to ruin my team. So
he's even too old for my team. I almost signed him though, but anyway, so I don't want to bring up the name again.
The next team up is pretty interesting. They had a pretty interesting offseason. He's been a victim of abuse on the podcast before. It's the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, I will not be abusing him because he actually went out and did something smart. And that was get a point guard that's not an inept moron like all the other point guards he's had. And yes, and Rodney Purvis obviously dynamically changes the way this team will operate, hugely, which is not really a word. But PJC, Cool, and Purvis is a that's like a fantastic 1-2-3 right there, especially Cool and Purvis.
Yeah.
The big men are still iffy. I mean, Tony Ellis he's been pretty good, and Carl Towns was
he's good actually. Last year.
Tony Ellis can block a lot, but he's got to get better at rebounding. Maybe
they both went up in training camp.
Yeah, they both
went up.
Yeah, I think if Tony Ellis can play up to his new abilities, and him and Towns could make like a passable front court, and this team doesn't have a lot of depth, but they have a very good starting five. They have one good backup in Bill Curran, maybe. But I think they'll definitely make the playoffs this year, and there's no way they're going to be as bad as last year. But not when you add Purvis to the team.
I think
that's just a great trio.
I think Peter Luther will make for an okay backup as well. I mean,
he's versatile.
Yeah, small forward's a little bit iffy, but I guess you could throw Rob Fern back there. He can't really shoot, but he could at least provide some defense and rebounding off the bench. So
yeah, well, I'm not super big on their bench, but I like their threes from small forward to point guard.
He needs to start playing Diamond Stone off the bench as a backup big man. He didn't play at all last year, and he's way better than Jeff Hendricks ever was.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
I'd probably play him ahead of those guys. I mean, even if you're running outside offense, and you'd think, oh, maybe I should play Ammonia Palermo or whatever his name is. It's not ammonia. It's ammonia.
Ammonia.
But he smells like ammonia, huh? Huh? He smells like pee.
Cricket.
He sucks.
Cricket.
Yes.
I can't make a cricket noise, so I'm just saying cricket.
If you can make a tumbleweed sound, that would also help. But,
I'll just add a big pause in the podcast right there.
Yes. But Diamond Stone, who also has a great name, he should get more minutes. He shot very well in his... I know he can't shoot free throws from his very brief look at his career, but...
That's okay. He's only a bench player.
Yeah. I kind of like Amon Palermo, though. I think I don't know. He looks okay.
Are you saying he's a future king?
I'm saying, well, that would require Dub C to make a trade with me.
He's a free agent in the offseason. You can get him then.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, he'll be a future king. He'll be right up there with Otis Stone. I need Diamond Stone so I can bring the Stone brothers together.
Yes. And then you need that Sapphire. Put a guy named Sapphire in the next draft. Boom.
I think Purvis and Cool. I think Purvis and Cool are really, really like they might be one of the best 1-2 combos in the league this year. Really, who's better off the top of your head? Hamilton and Thomas, maybe.
Pierre Lewis and Dale Smith are pretty good.
Yeah, but Purvis and Cool is pretty damn elite.
And then you have like Bauer,
Lorenzo Clay, and Bauer.
Clay,
yeah, there's plenty.
Whatever one of those three you want to pick.
I'm saying Cool and Purvis are right there, though. I think.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
There's no way the Hawks missed the playoffs this year. They won 34 games last year with
nothing.
Ron Washington at point guard.
Right.
So.
There you go.
Yeah, if they miss the playoffs, there's something wrong here. So.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next up is the Kings. Well, that's Tyler's team.
Jersey, actually. It's New Jersey.
Yes, New Jersey. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Call. New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. Good. I could talk about the Nets.
Everyone's the most exciting team to bring up.
Right. This team is the same as they were last year. Literally nothing has changed. Seifert got a little bit worse. Sam Legg didn't improve. Jerome Berry looks good. He can score. Lights out. Francisco Page will be a little bit above average as he was last year. Callum Merriman will be good again. Jim Ryan will probably disappoint. And that's about it. So that was fun. Who's next? I mean,
come on.
No, I know. I'm with you. They look okay, but the problem here is that literally for the last 2 preseason podcasts that we've done, they've had almost this exact same team, and we've gone in saying, "Oh, this is the Nets' year. Seifert's gotten better. Barry's gotten better. They have Sam Legg, and he looks good."
I stopped saying that 2 podcasts ago.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Now.
Right, but there are some people though. I'm looking at Mofo.
I'm done. I'm off the bandwagon.
I'm
You're
just saying.
The Crimson bandwagon.
Yes, off.
It's been the same thing every year, and we always come up with reasons why they'll be better. But the point is that they've never given us a reason to assume they'll be better. Seifert looks good, but he's like the anti of point guards, is what I've come to realize.
So he's like Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, but without
a little better
so
than that.
So he's like Drew Holiday.
Okay, yeah, okay. He's like Drew Holiday. I'm with that. I can get behind that one. I think Sam Legg needed to take a bigger jump in this training camp for them to have done anything. And Seifert falling at all hurts them because he wasn't that good to begin with. And I think Merriman dropped one in defense as well, which is not stellar.
This was not a good training camp for the Nets at all.
No.
Other than Barry. Barry went up and inside and handling.
Yeah. I think they should probably, I don't know, they got to move somebody, either Barry or Page, or like make a big move like that. And
I've heard of a Page to Memphis rumor. I'm throwing it out there.
He's actively shopping Page. Yeah, I've heard of a Memphis trying to go after any big man that they can rumor, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty solid. So.
Page to Memphis has been a rumor all off season. I bet it happens.
I've heard another one recently though that might put a stunt in that one. So we'll see.
To bring up Page again, I'm actually starting to lean more towards the Tyler school of not liking Francisco Page very much.
I like when people join.
Because the more I think about it, there's obviously the free throw problems, although he's a bit better than he was. But I think the issue of his handling for me is that he gets a lot of rebounds, but I think if a big man has really bad handling, he'll just try and shoot every time he gets a rebound. So if he gets a rebound, people are going to foul him right away, and then he's going to only make about 60% of his shots. Instead of even if he has like a C handling, then he can throw it out and the play can extend. But with Page, I'm sure he probably just turns around and tries to dunk it through the ceiling.
I think my problem with his handling is his turnovers have gone down a little bit since I originally started railing on him for it. So that's a plus, I guess. But it's not just the turnovers; it's the low assist, which means his passing is really low. And for a center, if your point guard can't pass, you would like to be able to dump it inside. I was just thinking about how real basketball works. You see point guards passing inside, the guy creating room, and then passing it back out to the outside shooters all the time. That's the thing that happens, and I think Page can't do that very well.
Yeah, and also his turnovers are dropping, but so are his rebounds. I think it's correlated, because I think he turns it over a lot because he can't pass, so he gets a rebound and he tries to pass it, and it just sort of flies God knows where because he's got no hands.
Yeah. I don't know.
That might be
he really needs to change his scenery, I think, now.
Yeah.
Ever since he went to the Nets, he's just declined a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if Callum Merriman is the sort of guy that you need next to him. And Jim Ryan is definitely not the guy you need next to Page.
Jim Ryan's not the kind of guy you need next to anyone. So.
Well, next to the door before you kick him out of it.
Right.
Sorry. That was terrible.
All right.
You are cheesy today, Hodge.
So now it's my turn, and we are on the Kings.
The beautiful, beautiful Kings.
Yes.
Let's see what I could say positive about the Kings.
I think you'll have a hard time finding a negative thing to say about this team.
Otis Stone is up to F+ rebounding.
I will say...
Or he was at that. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I will say Warren Merchant looks intriguing, as I said in the chat. I'm very interested to see what he does, because he had a pretty good first training camp.
Yeah.
He went up and inside, I think, in handling, too. He can't rebound or defend at all, so, but like you've been saying or thinking, this is basically an experimental season for you, probably. You just got to find out who's a long-term fixture on your team, who's actually good, who's not. And would you rather play Jay Hood after that training camp you just had, or Warren Merchant?
I'd rather play Warren Merchant.
Exactly. And then Carlos Parton, that's it. He had a pretty good training camp too. He went up in rebounding and handling. He actually looks like he might be a really good sixth man right away.
Yep.
Or an okay starter, maybe at small forward. But I don't know what's your strategy going to be with your starting lineup? Just go all offense, Tyler?
I'm just gonna play around with it until I find something that's fun. Because with this one, I'm trying to see. I don't have my own pick, so I'd like to try and win as much as I can because I would just like to ruin whoever wanted my pick to be last. I have a thing where even if I'm an awful team, I hate to finish very last. That's a thing. So I'll play my heart out to get to second to last. But
yeah, that's all.
You have at least one good starter in G1 for now. He'll probably be traded at some point, but he's a pretty good starter.
Well, don't be surprised if you see me dealing away all my picks in the next few days because I have initiated a few trade talks. I know Mofo knows about a few of them, but there are a few other ones that could land me 3 or 4 solid starters that could actually allow me to maybe even compete this year. So we'll see about that. But if I don't get any of that, my lineup will probably be something along the line of L.J. Rose, Aubin Buteau, Dustin Slayton, Warren Merchant, and Yuan. So we're looking at.
You got to start Parton. No, if you're going to start anyone, it should be Frank Perez.
You could go all out with his drop at training camp though. What
did he do in training? Yeah, he kind of declined a lot, but still, he's still your best offensive small forward.
And he's so fat.
The other guys wouldn't provide anything. Perez would at least provide offense. But regardless, as presently constructed, this team is near the bottom of the West. I don't think you'll deny that.
No, I will agree.
But you have some assets that could either play well for you or get you something in a trade, and all those firsts is very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, if I am not able to trade these first, by the time the 2031 draft comes around, I should be looking pretty good because
Celtics, Heat, and Kings could all be lottery by that point.
Nuggets probably could be too.
Yeah, that depends.
They traded Pierre, Larry Austin's 33. I mean, we'll get to them here in a little bit, but I think that could be a lotto pick too.
And I think Aubin Buteau is also still good. He's like a reverse MCW because he's more inside, but he's obviously a great scorer.
Oh yeah, he can score lights out. I'm never worried about him scoring. I mean,
he's very like J.R. Smith MCW, that mold player.
I mean, if you just wanted to go all out and like have Buteau just score as much as possible, you could probably get 30 points a game from him this year on this team.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be my number one option starting a shooting guard.
So. If you just want outside offense, just let him shoot as much as you wanted. 30 points a game is realistic with him.
Yeah.
All right, now Haj is back up again. We're on the Utah Jazz.
Yes, the Utah Jazz. The Lost Jazz, or whatever city he's pretending they're in right
Vegas,
now.
Jazz,
Las Vegas. Whatever. I think they're in Mexico now. So, regardless of where they actually aren't, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this team looks way better than last year. Jason Handy it seemed like he had a good TC. He went up a little bit all around. He signed Bill Ross, who kind of had a disappointing TC, but he still looks like a very good player. One of them, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. George Blaser or Blazer, or however you pronounce that.
Blazer.
Yes, he's a very good scorer, but now he's actually like a little bit better on defense. And David Wheeler, even though his outside shooting drove him out of Miami in a heat of passionate rage,
which I'm sure Seth is now regretting getting rid of Wheeler for Ruiz.
We'll get to that later too. I think those four guys alone is probably a better combo than any sort of group they had last year. Plus, they've added Bill Luck, who's a very underrated center.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't know who their power forward's going to be.
It'll be Felix Mealy or Bill Luck.
Felix Mealy.
Those two will be starting for sure.
That's a pretty good duo. You know, this team looks good. I think they could. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs because the West is so deep, but they look a lot better than last year. They're still very young. They have a good depth, which is I always love that because I'm a whore for backups, and I think they look very good. I like Yves Charpentier. I like Chris Shores. I mean, Bill Ross is probably the most disappointing part of their offseason. And when your most disappointing part is getting one of the hottest commodities in free agency, that's a good offseason.
He really didn't have a bad training camp. He only went down in handling and up and rebounding. That's it.
I also like how Haj is probably the first person to ever pronounce Charpentier's name right.
I just say Charpenter.
Carpenter. Eve Carpenter.
Sorry, I say Sharpenter.
Yves Carpenter, is that his name?
I think his name is Yves Charpentier.
I don't know why I put those crazy names in.
His name's a question. He's saying Yves.
That's not a crazy name. That's just a French guy's name.
Just crazy French names. Then whatever.
This is America.
You gotta pronounce it like Eve, Eve, like Adam and Eve.
That's okay. I'll just keep saying Sharpenter and be happy.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's my thought. I think the Jazz will be good regardless of how you pronounce that guy's name.
Yeah, they're a better team than last year. They won 35 games last year. They have a chance to probably add 10 to 12 more, I think. Potentially.
Yep. I would agree with that. They just look like so much better than last year's team.
Yeah, Bill Ross and Bill Luck are such huge additions.
Yep.
I like it.
Any comments, Tyler? No.
I've made some comments. I talked about Charpentier's name.
That's true. That was important.
No, but I do like this team on a very real level. I think they have a great starting five. And their bench isn't too much of a concern to me. Tom Scott should be able to do some things. George Blazer or Classer, Fred George Blaser. I think he'll be able to provide some stuff off the bench, and then you've got Chris Shores and Charpentier and everyone else. I think this team's actually set for a higher seed playoff run, so we'll see.
All right, let's see who's the next. The Hornets, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Who will not be renamed the Pelicans, I would imagine.
That's Tyler, right?
Tyler, yeah, because I just went, so it's Tyler.
Oh.
The Devonta-led Hornets.
Okay.
Yes.
Busy off season here.
His vision is slowly coming together.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the off season that Devonta had. I thought it was a huge reach when he went out and got Sun Ma, and then, or which one did he get first, Sun Ma or Vega?
Sun Ma, yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I was like, why is he putting Sun Ma on this team? They're not really ready to win yet. And then he went out and got Vega, and I was like, this makes sense.
He did those simultaneously. You just couldn't do the Vega deal first.
Yeah, but I didn't know that plan was coming.
Yeah, I know.
So,
and he didn't lose much either when you look at what he's got left,
Yeah, I mean, it went from Chuck Lamberson being one of his strongest starters last year to probably the weakest on this team now. I mean, this team just looks good from top to bottom. Lamberson's defense is a little bit worrying, but he's right next to Vega and Marino and Higgins and Ma, and that should be able to hide a lot.
Yes.
There's not much in the way of a bench on this team, which is a little bit worrying. I guess James Blackman will probably be doing quite a bit of bench play, which is always troubling to me. But I guess
he played good last year.
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, he really didn't.
30 minutes, only averaged 17 points. That's pretty mediocre.
Wow.
And that's on a team where they really didn't have much other scoring options, too.
Exactly.
It depends. I'm guessing Chuck Shields will be backup center and power forward, since there's no reason for Scott Thomas to ever play a game in EBL history ever again. And that'll provide some big scoring off the bench. I think this team's prime for. I mean, they're in the East, and the East is just wide open at this point. So I'm not saying they can win it, but I think they'll definitely make a good, strong playoff run this year.
I am saying they could win it. How do you like that?
Oh, you do that.
I think they could definitely win their division with the way Detroit looks after the TC and the Pacers. I mean, they were still somewhat far behind. Here's my phone ringing randomly in the middle of this podcast.
What the hell, Hodge?
What in the world is your ringtone? Is that ice clinking against a whiskey glass? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. You guys just go on without me.
This is unprofessional, Hodge. Come on.
Yeah, seriously, get your shit together. This is a high-profile radio talk show.
But the Hornets' success comes down to two things this year. One, Steven Marino, if he can live up to the training camp we just had, which is great. And two, the big man depth that they have. It's pathetic. Chuck Shields is good on offense, but beyond that, their big man depth is just pathetic.
Yeah.
Probably the worst in the league.
Yeah.
Scott Thomas is a joke, and Shields can't defend or rebound.
Scott Thomas, everyone just still gets enamored with his ratings, and he's just not anything good.
Well, how does it feel? You do the same thing with Isaiah Austin.
Right, but Isaiah Austin, is Hodge on his phone right now? I'm going to kill him.
He probably is.
First he steals Wayne Jones, and then he goes and ruins our podcast with a phone call.
It'll be funny for people. Just keep it.
Wayne Jones. I'm back. Yeah, I was just doing my very professional organizing, going to the Royal Rumble on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
So what I missed.
I said it comes. The Hornets' success comes down to Marino and the big man depth.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I said.
They look like they're going to be able to score a lot of points, though. The offense should not be a problem for this team.
Yes, I agree. Okay, who's next? Oh boy, I don't want to do this team, but I have to. It's Miami Heat.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry, Seth. That was brutal.
Oh.
He actually said he was going to quit at one point. I wouldn't have blamed him, but I would have been upset because I like having Seth in the league. So.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he's reconsidered that because I don't want him to. Because this is rock bottom for him. It goes nowhere but up from here. So you got to look at it that way. It can't get any worse.
Don't jinx it.
No, it can't. There's no way you can get worse than having Rue as his training camp, which is maybe the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right.
It really is bad.
The positives, like I said last night in the chat, last night was training camp. Klaus Cole looks a lot like Song Nu version 2 to me now.
I love Klaus Cole. I really do.
I think he's a lot like Song Nu used to be.
Yep.
He doesn't block quite as strongly, but
he
he's
went
got
up
potential for sure to get to that level.
And he's probably a better overall defender than Song Nu is, if I had to guess.
And a little worse rebounder probably, but he made that trade today for Frank Leaton, which is actually pretty smart because Frank Leaton, he had a really underrated season last year. He averaged 27 points a game.
I thought he was great last year.
Yeah,
I mean he scored like almost like at Gary Hamilton levels of scoring, and he was incredibly efficient doing it. So
that's a great pickup.
His shooting is unbelievable. If you look year by year, his 3-point shooting has never been below 42% except for his rookie season, which is unbelievable.
That's insane to me.
His career averages are 46, 87, and 42. That's pretty amazing. He should have a very similar season on Miami this year, probably 27 points a game. Mm-hmm. So him and Klaus Cole is a very, very promising 1-2 punch.
And Eric Beck.
Yes, Eric. I was about to mention him. Eric Beck.
Jinx.
He went up in training camp, I think. He went up in down in rebounding, up in handling.
Yeah.
But I mean, Beck's okay. He's a good all-around player. He's not the scorer he used to be. But he could be a pretty decent third option on this team.
I still really like him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's like one of those guys that's just great to have as a third go-to guy.
Yep.
Because he can do so many things and he handles it really well, and he's not like stupid with the ball. Like he knows what he can do. That's why he shoots good.
As I'm looking at this team more, it's really not as dire a situation as I thought it would be.
No, it's not that bad. And to add on to Eric Beck, I think what a lot of people always forget, not a lot, but I think there are a few GMs that always forget that your go-to guys aren't just your scoring options. Like these aren't just guys that you're putting. You're not just listing who you want to score the most. I mean, these are
who you want to touch the ball the most.
Right, and so to have someone like Beck as your third option, who is a pretty good shooter and can handle really well, I think that's very underrated. So.
Yeah, he's like Kearney. He looks like Kearney a lot.
Yes, he does.
Who I like him. So.
And then Angel Doty had a good training camp too. He might be able to get something to trade for him.
Yeah.
Or if not, he's a good backup.
I would almost start Doty over Wynn.
No, you got to start Max Wynn shooting guard.
I don't know. I just hate Max Wynn though. Oh, those are two Tyler busts on that team right there, and I don't like it.
Wynn, former number one overall pick.
He didn't end up that much of a bust.
As a number one overall pick, he sure
did. He was a number one pick. He was a bust number one, but he's a lot better when you compare him to like Juan Johnson.
Well,
yeah, or Robert Bacon.
But
he's better than both those guys combined. He's better than both of them combined.
Come on, his career averages are 14 points a game, 5 rebounds a game.
All right. But yeah, the last 2 years he's been good.
Yes, he's a decent shooting guard option. So he's got 4 pretty decent starters if you think about it. He just doesn't have a power forward at all.
Yeah.
Tony Deal cannot start.
Maybe he'll start Jose Regan. At least he can play defense and rebound.
He's starting Tony Deal for right now, at least.
Oh, well, I wouldn't do that.
I'd probably start Tony Deal over Regan at this point. I don't know.
I mean, this team is probably better than Boston already.
I'd say by far. You have Leighton.
I think with the way the East is now, this team could probably make the playoffs in the East. With MCW off the bench with his scoring, and then you have Doty and Wynn and Beck, and that's a lot of good guys on the wings. You know, Regan can grab some boards. Kloss can sort of shoot outside. I think they have a lot of really great outside shooters too. So if they ran an outside offense, they could score efficiently.
The only reason I was saying that Doty might be able to start is, one, his defense is better than Wynn, and two, even though Klaus Cole went up in rebounding, it's still not a guarantee that he's going to get better at rebounding. Tony Deal is iffy, and then Beck dropped in rebounding too. I just think that if you had that defense and added rebounding from Doty rather than Wynn, I think Wynn could be a great six-man, small forward, shooting guard, point guard, and then you could have Michael Carter-Williams back up, or third string small forward and shooting guard.
I feel like thinking about it now, this team is a power forward trade away from actually competing for a playoff spot.
I think they're going to probably make a playoff spot no matter what. But
so things are pretty actually looking up for Seth here. Way better than I thought coming into this.
Well, it's just because that initial first reaction of seeing Ruiz die like that was just, there's no hope. I mean,
I think I yeah, I can see your argument with Doty, but Wynn, like they average about the same rebounds. Well, I guess Doty hasn't started in a long time, but the last time he started, he got about the same amount of rebounds as Wynn anyways.
Yeah,
So.
he had like C+ rebounding then though, but because I know that for a fact. But I think if you were able to trade Doty or Wynn for a power forward, you'd be good. And I think that's a plausible thing. Someone could want a swingman like Wynn, who's had a good.
Know. I really like Jose Regan. I don't know why, but I don't know. He's just one of those guys.
He's never really gotten a chance. He's never really gotten a chance to play the minutes though.
I mean, he got 10 minutes less a game, and he only got like 0.4 less blocks. So he's probably good at shot blocking and defense, and he could probably grab a lot of boards. And if they run outside, I mean, that's what you want from your big man.
See, are you saying Jose Reagan's a future Wizard?
No, I don't.
Maybe when he gets 10 years old.
Once I know what he can do, maybe I'll trade for him.
He
can go in the minor leagues first of like every other team in the league. They're my scouting. I use them to scout my team.
The Heat was me, so let's see who's next. T-Wolves, so KWO. That's Haj.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have a hard time topping Koo's own preview of his team because it was pretty thorough and informed. But, I mean, they look like Minnesota teams. Their defense is somewhat lacking, especially up front where they have literally nobody higher than a B. Of any forwards or centers, which is unprecedented. But on the other hand, they have 3 guys with A- rebounding. Owen Adams has proven he could rebound a lot, even if he can't play a whole game.
Wait, no, they don't. Oh, yeah, they do. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
Before I was interrupted, no. But yeah, Orozco, he could probably rebound. Wade. Wade got more than he got about 11.5 last year. That's
the one thing he can do is rebound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to bring, they'll probably run their 3-point operation 3-point. Lyle Devane has proven he can score a lot in an outside offense, actually.
Yeah.
He averaged almost 25 points a game for Dallas when he was one of the top guys. So with him, Tyree, maybe they'll start Teeter at point guard. I don't know. I'm sure he's pretty high on Mark Flora right now. But at the same time, they're going to get shredded inside.
They'll be fine.
Devane and Tyree are also horrible defenders. Basically, the team's going to have no defense, and they're going to try and outshoot everybody. But
I think you're underrating Owen Adams' defense. Listen, just because he's a B defense doesn't mean much. Song New is a B defense for the last 3 or 4 years, whatever, and he's done fine.
Owen Adams he's pretty good on defense.
He can block a lot of shots, and for what I saw from the box scores last year, it looks like he shuts guys down too. I think the fact he's 7'9" might have something to do with that.
He's 7'9". That has to be a factor.
I think all he has to do is lift his arm up a little bit, and he can block a shot. So
just put him in front of the rim and put his arms up.
Right. I think he could block.
Smash.
I mean, if he were standing in the post, he could probably block shots from the 3-point line. I'm not sure, but I just assume so.
But
I don't know how the rules work with that, but
let me start by saying that this team has no chance in hell of making the playoffs.
Right.
Even though Koo said he did, but first of all, they have no defense.
Probably not even in the East.
As Haas said, they have no defense, but beyond Tyree and Devane, they have no scoring.
Right.
Titcher or Flora, neither of them can score much.
Right.
And Owen Adams and whoever he starts. I mean, Orozco might actually shoot pretty well, but he'll probably shoot poorly. I mean, average a lot of points, but shoot poorly as a rookie because that's just the way it usually goes for rookies. But I don't think they're going to get enough points a game, and I think they're going to get way too many points a game. They're probably going to be in the bottom 5 of the West this year.
I think they might have been able to be somewhat of a playoff team before the Leighton trade. I think it's possible.
That changed a lot, but even then they would have been on the borderline.
Right.
But they have their own. Yeah, they have their own pick. So
I don't think who cares about making the playoffs again this year. He's still rebuilding, as he said.
Right.
He has his own pick.
I don't think he cares about ever making the playoffs again.
I wouldn't say that, but
it's just a happenstance if he happens to get in. No, but they don't play a lot of defense. But they got some good young guys, especially their bigs. They have 3 good big young guys that I like most of them. So.
Now we got a tie for the next team. Tyler, take either Memphis or Chicago. Which one you want?
I'll do Chicago.
All right.
So Chicago. This team looks good. I thought they looked good last year too, and they missed the playoffs, but they look better this year. So I'm hoping I'm hoping. Alan Whitehurst, I think, is just a stud at this point in the league. He just seems to keep getting better. His shooting percentage has gotten a little bit better each year, which is always a good sign. He was just right at 44% last year, which I would like it to be a little bit higher, but if he can get it up again, he should be pretty solid. He broke his assists per game go up substantially every year too. He was at 6.1 his rookie year, 8.2 the year after, 9.6 last year. And it's just getting better and better for him. Just everything about Whitehurst keeps improving. Just literally everything keeps improving. And I think that's going to be huge for the Bulls if he can keep that streak up. Their rookie looks good. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name.
Whatever his
it's
name.
the Russian guy.
It's Sviatoslav Voronkov.
Would the S be silent?
Sviatoslav. That's how I pronounce it. No, you can pronounce it. Sviatoslav. That's how I'd pronounce it.
Sviatoslav Voronkov. Okay.
If he was French, I'd be able to pronounce his name.
Well, but he's not, so
maybe
out. I think he looks pretty good. Dan Garcia still looks the same every year despite him getting older. Scott Singley, I think, hopefully, because he went up and outside, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but he's not starting right now.
Right. I'm going to get to the depth chart in a second because that's a huge problem for me. Singley looks good. I think he looks worthy of a max maybe at this point. Probably not, but at least closer than last year.
Closer.
Montanez, I think, is a really, really solid player. His defense is incredible, and I think why don't I have the old Chicago site loaded up? I think he got better, right? No, he stayed the same.
He stayed the same.
Yeah, he stayed the same, but that's fine. He was pretty good last year, from what I recall. 12.5, 10. He's solid. Plays shutdown defense. Rebounding's been an issue on this team, but I think the biggest leap for them was Zach Frost having a huge TC. Whether that'll translate to anything, who knows? He could be another Jim Ryan and just look that way. But I think he's making the steps into looking like a number 1 overall pick, which is at least good. I just did a stepping motion with my hand that you guys couldn't see.
Okay, he's stepping up.
Right. My big problem with the Bulls right now is their depth chart, and I'm not trying to tell any GM how to run their team or what kind of depth charts to set, but I think you're asking a little bit too much out of starting a rookie, starting Voronkov. I think starting Voronkov this early in his career, even though he had that good of a TC, I think that's probably a mistake. He can't really score that well. I don't know that for a fact, but just looking at his ratings, I'm going to assume he's going to put up about 15, 16 points a game on probably about 41%, 42% shooting, and that's going to bring this team down a lot. Dan Garcia is still a solid starter right now. He's never been the best on defense, but he's good enough. I think he's good enough, and then you could have Voronkov come off a 6-man position, which he looks like he would at least excel at. And then starting Wong Kun, I don't even know where to begin on this one. Wong Kun is decent. I mean, it's been proven that he is decent, but
I gotta jump in here on Wong Kun because for years his defense has died at power forward. I'm sure it still dies at power forward, and yet he still keeps playing there.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I've never understood. At least start Zach Frost. I mean, I know Wong Kun is actually. You know what? They're really not that big of a size difference. If you're really dead set, Raider guy, on starting Wong Kun, which I'm not sure why you would be, at least start him at center and let Frost try out at power forward because Kun is a terrible power forward. I mean, his defense is just awful there.
Abysmal. Yeah.
It drops to B. It's actually a little better than it used to be. But it still drops.
It still drops, and his defense isn't that good to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know what Frost is a power forward, but I'm assuming I don't know. I just don't like it at all. I'd rather have Montanez. I'd rather have Frost, Montanez, Singley, Garcia, and Whitehurst starting with Thompson, Voronkov, and Kun off the bench. That seems a lot better to me. I think you might not see it that way, but at least I do. So.
That's how I see it. Also,
I have a few. I have this one notable disagreement, but I have a couple. I agree with everything else he said. Singley should be starting. Kun should not be starting probably. But the one thing I disagree on is Luis Montañez. I do not think he is a shutdown defender at all because he's had 21 foul outs the last 2 years, and anyone who fouls that much is not a good defender in my eyes. And he's not a good offensive player because he's shot 40% the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think you and I disagree a little bit about the foul outs.
But if a guy only plays 32 minutes a game because he fouls so much, what does that say? He can't defend.
He still might be maybe he's undisciplined. I mean, listen, I'm not quite sure how this game works. I would like to be able to tell you 100% that I am right or that you are right, but
I'm looking at a guy like Jay Hood, not to bring him up again, but Jay Hood last year, he averaged 37.5 minutes a game. That tied Tyler Herron for the most among the big men, and he only had 6 foul outs the whole year.
Well,
that tells me he was probably an elite defender last year, even though it didn't say he was.
I definitely agree with the correlation between the minutes per game and the foul outs. I think that's common science.
But a guy can't play that many minutes per game without being a good defender as a big man, is what I'm saying.
Right. I think there are just some other factors other than defense that goes into it. I'm not quite sure what they would be, and I cannot prove that I am even remotely speaking any sort of truth. My personal feeling that I have no substantial evidence for is that there's more that goes into foul outs than just pure defense. So.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, team strategy does too, obviously.
Yeah, like when you play against Francisco Page and you know you can just foul him over and over again.
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure the game is that sophisticated that it does that. But
yeah, and I don't think it would also like affect it to the point where it would affect your whole season. You know, it's not like Luis Montañez is playing 1-on-1 with Page every week. I hope not, for his sake. That'd be a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, he could be. You never know.
But Raider guys, set a better depth chart if you're listening to this, because come on.
And I know you listen. You're one of the only ones. You're one of the good ones. You're one of the ones that do listen.
Your team is ready to make the playoffs. Do not blow it with a bad depth chart.
Yeah, don't let Washington get in the playoffs again. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, nobody wants that. All right. Oh crap! I just closed the browser. Yeah, but I closed my browser. I got to reload everything. Hold on.
I thought you were going to say
just swing it. Just guess.
I thought you were going to say you deleted the game file, and then we were about to have a podcast about the NFL and stuff.
Yes.
No, I'm not. I think I've gone 20 EBL seasons without doing that. And plus I back it up like twice every season, so I'm good.
That's
there
true.
I'm prepared for everything.
Yeah.
All right, so Memphis.
What if a storm of lightning blows your house up? Are you prepared for that?
I have it as long as I get the USB port thing, I'll be fine.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right, well, let's hope that doesn't happen though, because
let's hope you don't have a flash drive flood. So.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. Memphis. First of all, I better preface this by saying this is probably not going to be the team. Maybe by the time this podcast is posted, this will not be the team
because he's looking to come back again.
He's looking to trade all kind of people. From what I've heard, he's actually close to getting Francisco Page and Jim Castanon both.
Wow.
So if that happens, that's a whole different story. But as far as this current team, obviously they had a disastrous training camp, which is what is leading him to wanting to make these moves. Basically, the only player out of all these picks that have worked out so far is Larry Riley. Nobody else has actually paid off yet. This is 3 years of drafting now. He's only got one player to show for it. That's pretty bad. But I think Dave Machado is like one of the most promising guys he has because he had a good training camp and he's only 18. But the other two 18-year-old guys he drafted were busts. How about Jerry Hodges? He went down in like everything. That's
right.
Pathetic.
Yep.
He looks absolutely like worse than the last guy taken in the second round.
Yeah, he looks abysmal.
But Tommy Madsen was probably the second most disappointing thing because he had a nothing training camp after going up so much last year.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit. I still think it's promising because he didn't go down. I mean, a lot of guys when they have that big explosion TC, they go down in their second one. Look at Ruiz.
Yeah, but he averaged 18 points a game in 32 minutes last year, which is amazing for a rookie. And you thought he was going to progress off that, but it's definitely a little disappointing he didn't do anything.
But at least if he can stay the same, that's still pretty good production.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
it's disappointing, but not discouraging. That's what I'm going.
I'm also very disappointed in Keith Koch for the same reason. He didn't do anything. Like he was on the verge of being an elite defender last year, and he needed a training camp to boost that, but he didn't.
Yeah,
he probably isn't good enough to start still. So overall, this team needs a lot of work. It's obvious the drafting like 12 players, so full team hasn't worked out, and he's got to package a bunch of these guys to get players like Francisco Page and actually pair him with Larry Riley and maybe a few other guys. But right now, as presently constructed, this team is horrible. Again, bottom of the West again.
There's a rumor, and I don't want to blow it, but because I like knowing things that people don't, because it doesn't happen very often, that he gets someone a little bit better than Page. He's working on getting right now that would just completely alter the defensive shift of this team. So
well, that's unacceptable that you know it and I don't. I got to figure that out.
I'll IM it to you after we're done.
All right.
You have to break some legs to get the answers.
This team overachieved so much last year. I have no idea how they won 38 games, but they fell apart in the final sim before the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
And they're not going anywhere this year.
They'll be much worse this year if they keep the team.
Who do you start at point guard? Do you try Horton again?
Yeah, you got to start Horton. He was pretty good last year despite horrible ratings.
Okay, but his ratings got even more horrible. And now you have John Harris, who looks kind of better.
He's no better. He's B minus.
It's bad when Robert Reedy looks the best on paper. That's just bad.
That's just showing the ratings don't mean much.
Yeah, you never start Reedy ever. But not only is Harris the one tick better in handling, he's also 2 ticks better in defense.
Maybe you just give it to Dave Machado and let him start from now on.
Maybe you just start Mark Clinton at point guard and say fuck it.
Well, he's trying to trade Mark Clinton before he even plays a game. So.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
That's a bold strategy. He could regret that. Oh.
So, I mean, it's tough to really speculate on this team because they're going to be changed so much in the next few days, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree.
So, who's the next team? I think we're almost out of playoff teams.
Hold on,
we're at 39 wins.
I'm gonna cut this part out really quick, but I have to point out that we were just talking about Mofo backing up the files and the EBL stuff. And literally right when we were talking about that, Raka in the chat asked Mofo how many files of the game does he save. Like right when we were talking about it, and that was the weirdest thing to me.
Sorry, I got creeped out.
It's just I checked my Skype to see if he was listening in, and then I realized he wasn't, and I just thought that was the weirdest thing that we were talking about that. And I don't know, Raka's got some black power.
He's like the black Houdini.
I don't know. All right, so
Houdini wasn't a psychic.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah,
Denver is the last.
Denver or Washington, either one.
No, because you made the playoffs, so let's go Denver first.
Okay.
And plus you were up, so you don't want to do your own team.
Right. This is gonna leave you with the Wizards. Why?
Yes, it is.
No.
To see you're opening cans of worms. So Denver.
That's okay.
Denver. They added Sal Perazi, who is one of the best centers in the league, very consistent, so-so defense, hasn't really won anything, but production-wise, he's almost unmatched as a center. Like it's guaranteed you're going to get 24-12 maybe from him, 25-12 probably in an inside offense, which is what Denver should run. Marcus Fleming next to him is about as good a guy as you can put next to him because Fleming sucks at rebounding, but Perosi is actually a very good rebounder, so that's a good combo.
Yeah.
Yep. I have no idea who you start at small forward. Maybe no, I'm not going to say Shaq Goodwin, but I'm thinking if he runs an inside offense, that's the only sort of logic of starting Shaq Goodwin there. But I mean, you can start Jeff Gregg too.
You can start Fleming.
Wait, I have a question for Tyler. Why would he trade a first round pick for Shaq Goodwin when he already has Perosi, Edwards, and Fleming?
I don't know. Why? I did not care to ask. I just was getting a first, and I let it be at that.
Fair enough. Right, go ahead, Oz.
Even Keith Pate actually went up in TC, so he's got a lot of very good big men.
I think. I don't want to cut you off. Keep going. Sorry.
Yes. So I mean, I think he's trying to run an inside offense. Maybe that's why he wanted LeBron James Jr. I could see no other reason why he would. He signed John Albee, who had a great TC, but would be wasted in that offense, unfortunately.
He's the future of Denver, Haj. He's the future of Denver, John Albee.
Yeah, with his C- handling at a shooting guard.
If he can actually re-sign him without years, then sure, the future.
He has cap room, I think so.
Yeah, he does.
He could. Yes, that's true. I mean, obviously, if you're just trying to win as much as possible, I would run inside. Sal and Fleming could score a lot of points in an inside offense. Larry Austin is a very capable passer, even if his defense has dropped a little. You could actually almost get use out of LeBron James in an inside system if you're going to take that chance. Yeah. I don't know if I would be. Maybe you could start John Albee just to keep them honest with a good outside shooter, in theory. But I mean, this team they certainly don't look like Polo's team anymore. I don't mean, because he would never run a team like this.
No.
Whether that's good or bad, you can win without running a team like Polo. There's many GMs that have done it. This team has very good big men: Sal, Edwards, Fleming, Goodwin, Pate. All 5 of them are very good. I don't know how you're going to get them all minutes unless you start one of them at small forward, which is obviously always risky when you're putting a big man at small forward.
What I would do.
I found Adam Woodbury was good at small forward. So, anyways,
what I would do is try Fleming at small forward.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Mofo and I are on the same page.
Even though he's 7'7", 288, he's huge. Yeah. But I think he might be effective at small forward because
he's played there before, hasn't he? I swear he's played there.
I think his defense is up there actually.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm a retard. Yeah, that's what I would do actually instead of starting Shaq Goodwin there.
I swear he's played there for a sim or two and he did well. I mean, yeah. I can't. I just remember. I remember it on the Knicks when GBB did it. I swear.
Brilliant is career. Yeah, actually, there you go. If you do that, you could run an effective inside offense. Shaq Goodwin can actually, well, he can't really score, but
Shaq Goodwin was fine last year for me. I mean, he was a non-Austin.
Fine, but I'm just saying as a go-to guy. Well, no, you can make Larry Austin a go-to guy. I think this is one of the few times where an inside offense might be able to work.
I mean, you have if you had Salvatore starting at center, you had Shaq Goodwin at power forward, Fleming at small forward, LeBron at shooting guard, and Austin at point guard. With, like, I don't know, John Albee or Jeff Gregg off the bench and Scotty Edwards off the bench at center and power forward. I mean, I think that could work. I really think it could. So
you think
you have
they
a guy like Casey Hill too that can pass a lot.
I don't think they can make a playoff run.
I was about to ask that.
That's where I'm getting at. I think it could work more than a balanced offense without starting Fleming at small forward could work.
I think it'd be an interesting experiment. And, I mean, it could work. It could work out spectacularly. Maybe Fleming could find his old scoring form, and then with him, Perosi, and Austin, that's a pretty good trio. But
yeah, I like it.
It's really, I don't really know what they'll do until they play. But I'd probably lean more towards not making the playoffs than making it in.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean,
I think they have too many unappealing parts to be a playoff team in the West.
They won't be they won't be like the 2 or 3 bottom West teams, but
no, it'd be like 10 or 11.
10 or 11. That's where I put them at too. That's
all right. So now the moment we've all been waiting for. Tyler is up on the Wizards here.
I swear, if we would have done this podcast yesterday, I would not have been able to do this. I literally would have just walked away. But I'm a little bit better now. I am collected to an extent. I first want to start with a lighter note of my overall sentiments of this team is something Seth just said in the chat, which is, holy shit, the Wizards are always old, but they are so old now because your team just, Hodge, the fact that they're not playing.
They're not that old. Nobody's even 35 yet.
Right. You know, you just have a 33-year-old point guard, or a 32-year-old point guard, a 33-year-old backup point guard, a 33-year-old shooting guard, a 34-year-old small forward, a 33-year-old power forward.
Hodge, come on.
They're young at heart.
There's nothing wrong with having an old team, but this team is ridiculous.
Your team could all retire this offseason. That's how old.
Well, then I'd have lots of cap room. So that's the strategy. You ever think of that?
I want to point out that I've unraveled the conspiracy that me being the best podcaster out of the 3 of us.
Sure, undoubtedly. Go on.
Listen, it's just fact. Okay. But the 2 of you lesser podcasters, Mofo and Hodge, decided, how can we get back at Tyler for being such a good podcaster?
We had that conversation. Remember that conversation we had, Mofo, where we said that?
And what happened was Mofo said, hey, see this awesome bid that Tyler just made on this young small forward in the game, Wayne Jones? Why don't you make an MLE bid, and then I'll conveniently forget to put Tyler's offer in?
I remember that conveation.
And then I'll edit him, and then I'll edit him in the game to give him 100 potential, and then we'll make sure that Tyler just is the worst.
I feel like I should quit for the first time ever because I've cheated the system so much, and it'd be the first time ever that I ever quit.
Second time ever, Hodge. Second
time ever.
I mean, there's something afoot in this league. First of all,
you sniffing out a crime as we speak?
I am Sherlocking this entire situation here. I mean,
Sherlocking the shit out of it.
I mean, first we have that I can't get anyone in free agency, and now people are turning down my much higher offers to sign for an MLE. Listen,
to sign for a team that's barely even won playoff games lately?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Wayne Jones thought, hey, my grandpa probably plays on this team. I'll go join him, and this will be good.
Wow.
But
little known fact, Song Niu is actually his uncle.
All right, I should probably talk about this team a little bit.
Half Chinese Wayne Jones.
Your team is good and old. You have McAvoy. He can do things at point guard. You're having Sip out for the playoffs last year was a blessing in disguise, to be honest.
It was.
With you. It was. That is the best thing.
Fantastically for me.
That's the best thing to happen to this team in a really long time. Ben McAvoy will be a phenomenal point guard for you for the last 3 years of his life until he dies at the age of 80. Ricardo Lito is progressing in the opposite direction. I think we call that degressing. I'm not sure. Yeah. I think he is. I mean, you didn't trade up too much to get him, so I can't really fault you too much for that. But at a certain point, I don't know how much of a good value you'll be able to get out of him starting wise. I think Lance Burton could be an option for you. Brendan Kearney is good in a way that's good.
In a way.
Wow. In a way. In what way is he not good? I'd like to hear that actually. Other than being old.
I got nothing.
He's on the decline. He's also on the decline.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's exactly the same as he was last TC.
No, it's not.
His points per game fell even though his shooting went up, but his rebounds and assists were also down.
Right. That's what I was talking about. I know this kind of TC. He went down in potential, or up.
That doesn't mean anything.
He went up in potential.
Yeah, he went up. That doesn't mean anything anyway.
It's a Jason Terry TCs coming up.
It's my segment. Heron looks good. Heron looks good. Heron's a guy that blocks and rebounds. Those are things you need. And Ching Fang, I think, will be a good power forward center off the bench. I assume that's what you're doing with him. I have to assume.
Well, I'm probably give Lee Vito a lot of minutes too, because he's a very good rebounder and shot blocker.
That's another Tyler favorite right there, Lee Vito.
Lee Vito is a Tyler favorite, so why don't you just go fuck yourself for having Jones?
Wow.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell me how you really feel about it instead of tiptoeing around the subject? Jeez.
Oh man.
I mean, there's no hard feelings there, but if your team all were to have torn ACLs and kidney infections, I think that would be desirable.
I think the game might break if they all had, because it just wouldn't know what to do.
It would.
So let's hope that doesn't happen.
I think the desired outcome for this team is Ben McAvoy retiring mid-season. Wayne Jones deciding he'd rather smoke pot with Ricky Williams than play the game of basketball anymore.
Yeah, Ricky Williams is old by now. Jeez.
Yeah, he's probably dead by this point.
Are you kidding me? Marijuana makes people live forever. Read things.
I'm gonna go read things right now. 1 second.
On a very real concern, getting away from my
Bias.
Right.
Rage.
I'm hiding rage with satire at this point. On a very real concern, though, I think Song Nu's constant decline is a very worrying thing for everyone involved.
That is the biggest worry I have about the training camp from the Wizards. Song Nu going down to defense.
Because, I mean, last year...
Although he goes up to power forward, are you going to move him to power forward, Hosh?
His defense goes up? I didn't even check. I don't know, because I don't really like Tyler Heron at center. He's never really...
Yeah, he's usually worse
than that. Yeah, that's why I might just keep Neo there. I don't know. I'm going to see how things play out,
I mean, last year, Song Nu dropped, and we were like, oh, well, hopefully he can turn it around. And, he wasn't too bad last year. He was a little bit disappointing, but not bad. And this year, drops again, and now I'm starting to get really
I think he played better last year than the year before. He shot better, and he had almost the same blocks. Well, he had one less block, but he had the same rebounding, same points, and he shot way more efficiently.
He was similar, except he was the worst blocker. That's it.
Well, I'm not concerned about Song Nu's scoring. I mean, I'm not concerned about that at all. What I'm concerned about is his rebounds and his defense. Those continue to get worse. He was an 11.3 rebound per game. He was a 12.2 rebound per game guy Not just 6-7 seasons ago, and then
before I'd ever want him.
And then 4 or 5 seasons ago, he was an 11.3, and last year he was a 10.1, and then he dropped more on defense. His blocks per game keep going down. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it.
Haj, what's your expectation with this team right now? Like in playoffs?
I think it's fine.
You think you're like a 4 or 5 seed potentially?
It's fine. It's fine. I think with the way the East is now, it's just hard to tell where anyone's going to end up. I really think my defense will be a lot better because I've added a lot of, like, Fang's a good defender, Heron's a better defender than Davis was at this point. Obviously, I have very good shot blockers. The top 4 guys on my list, they're all very good shot blockers. So I know you're not as big on shot blocking as I am, but I'm much bigger on it than I used to not even really be big on it.
I think it's important.
I'm a whore for shot blocking. But I think if we can play as efficiently on offense and our defense improves, as I hope it will, then I think we could certainly compete for the top of our division. And, with the way the East is, with so many top teams in the East sort of falling by the wayside, we could sort of crawl over the corpses towards the top. So, if I don't get home court in a playoff series, I'll consider my season a disappointment from a personal standpoint.
I hope you're not buying into Ernest Fowler TC and you don't give him very many minutes.
I don't think
no.
that.
No, I might trade him if somebody wants him. He had a great TC.
I don't think Hodge is that gullible to think Fowler is
rebounding.
Yeah, he was rebounding when
you should probably give me 2 firsts for him.
I don't think that would pass in any way ever.
Hey, what?
All right, we spent a lot of time on the Wizards.
Would pass? Okay. Well,
no, I was saying I don't think that trade would pass. Ernest Fowler for 2 firsts.
I think it would pass.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but anyway, that's enough. That's enough on the Wizards here. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, fuck them.
All right, now next up is one of the teams that had the best training camps of anybody. I think is the Clippers, and that's me. So, well, they're in a rebuild process right now, but they made the playoffs last year after making all those trades, which is like out of nowhere. Now this year he has 3 firsts, and all of them could be potential lottery. Although the Cavs probably will make the playoffs, you never know. But Nate Stout, I think after all those trades, Nate Stout was like the main reason they made the playoffs, and he went up in training camp, but he's like one of my favorite players in the league right now.
Fuck him.
Yeah, he had a great last.
I'll edit that out so you can keep saying good things.
But his rebounding was always been his weakness, and he went up in training camp, so I think he could actually be a potential all-star candidate this year at power forward. I don't think I'm going out on a limb there. I think he can be, if he plays like he did last year in the second half. And then Conyers went up in training camp. He can make a really good center because he goes up on defense there. And then Tony Ross went up in handling and went up in inside. I think he's the better Ross twin, but people disagree because of defense. But I think he's better. But Steve Bell had an amazing training camp. Even Dwayne Todd, he went up to A defense and B+ outside. What the hell is up with that? It's just amazing.
He's a late bloomer, I guess.
This team had some amazing luck in training camp. They're still probably not good enough to make the playoffs this year, but they really have some nice assets to build around with Stout and Conyers and Ross and Bell, and even Larry Ray had a good training camp. Well, no, Seth Adams. Yeah, Seth Adams.
I still hate his handling. Oh.
Yeah, it's bad, but.
And Chavez had it already.
Yeah, Chavez has a good training camp too. This team is that trade he made for Sun Ma is actually probably a smart move now with all these assets he's developed. Got Conyers in that trade. Yeah, but I think they'll probably surprise Harmon a little bit with how many wins they get, but they'll finish 11 seed, 12 seed, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
I think their future's a lot. I don't think they're as good as their team was last year, but I agree that their future is a lot better, and they're going to have a lot of cap room next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team, Harmon's did a good job rebuilding up really fast already, and he got good luck in training camp. All right, Hodge is up now. You get to pick the Magic or the Lakers. Who do you want?
I'll pick my good friend Karachi's team because he's my good friend and we get along so well.
All right.
And
rumors on the street.
And that's what I hear. That's what all the cool kids are saying. I think the Lakers look really good. I like the Lakers. I think Edgar Sutherland is very underrated for what he provides on defense. He's actually upped his rebounding to a career high last year. He almost got 11. He's not going to kill you with his offense, even though it's not ideal. Yaneko it looks like he had a really good TC.
He went up and inside.
Oh, well, there you go. He's pretty solid. He's a solid big man for them, much better than some of their past big men combos, which are terrible. You got B-Rod, who's good off the bench. But, I mean, this is definitely some of the better big men groups they've had in a long time, except for Dick Marcus, who sucks and was a terrible draft pick and always will be. But just so you know, just so he doesn't get too comfortable, I still hate Dick Marcus, and he's still an awful pick.
I agree. I can't agree more.
Yeah, but Karan Iverson with the Harrison twins, whichever one you want to start, I would probably start Aaron Harrison since he played very well for them last year.
I love Aaron Harrison still.
Yeah, and he's got David O'Neal. Andrew Harrison can cover, the guard spots, and even then, even guys like Keith Frazier, James Alcorser, junk champion extraordinaire. He's got a lot of very good guys on this team, and I think they'll make the playoffs. Maybe as a 5 seed if they can if they play as good as I think they can play.
Wow.
If they play as good as they think I can play, but I think probably a 7, a 6 or a 7 is more realistic. I don't know. I like this team a lot. I like them.
I couldn't disagree more with pretty much everything you said except for the Dick Marcus hate because I
hate Dick Marcus.
I strongly agree with that. But still, fuck you for taking Wayne Jones. David O'Neal. I mean, he's great, obviously, but this is almost the same team they had last year. And where were they? 8th seed last year, or did they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they were the
7th seed.
After Harrison.
7th seed.
Right. When did they get Yaniko last season?
And like a sim or two before the trade deadline.
Did that boost them up or lower them down?
I think it lowered them actually.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm saying. I think there's something to Yaniko Zelaya.
No,
come on.
They almost won a title with him. The Clippers. 3 years ago, they almost won a title. They were 2 games away.
Right, and they didn't win a title. And it
wasn't because of him.
It wasn't not because of him either.
It's one of the big reasons they were there. He averaged 14 and 12. That was pretty damn good.
Right, and how were the Clippers last year with Yaniko Zelaya? They were not a playoff team. How were they after they traded him? And they made their team.
They were under 500 and they got swept by the Rockets.
They made the playoffs, though.
Yeah, big deal.
So did the Lakers.
Oh, okay. All I'm saying is Lakers got worse after getting Yaniko. Clippers got better after getting rid of him. There's something to that.
I don't buy it because Yaniko's had plenty of success in the playoffs. I don't buy that at all.
I completely buy it. I think his defense is terrible. I think he's one of the worst defenders in EBL.
That may be true, but he's a really good player other than that.
I mean, I agree, but I think at a certain point...
And I think with Edgar Sutherland next to him, that helps a lot because he's one of the best defenders in EBL.
I agree, but I mean, if we're looking at things like minutes per game and fouls per game and DQs as a big part of defense, Yaniko can only play. I mean, he played 35 last year, so that really fucks up my argument. But he only played 33 the year before, and he's not a good defender. Everyone will admit that. I think Karachi would even admit that, but he's not on the team to defend. That's the thing.
I don't think Karachi would admit that.
Yeah, I don't think Karachi
you're right.
shit.
He's got 2 A defenders in Curran and O'Neal, and he's got A- defenders in Sutherland. Sutherland's more like an A+, and the Harrison twins are A- each, so this team's defense is great besides him.
Also, Curran dropped to C- handling in TC. I think that's going to be a big thing.
He's always been a horrible handler, though.
But he's not been below C before.
But I think if you start like Andrew Harrison, that'll help cover that up a little bit because he's like a very good handler for a shooting guard.
I think the best thing for this team to do is to go with a lineup of O'Neal, Aaron Harrison, Karan, Edgar Sutherland, and Yaniko, and then let Andrew Harrison come off the bench at small forward, shooting guard, point guard, since he's much better handling.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing Ross said? You just said you disagreed with everything he said.
Yeah, but he said Yaniko was good, and I say he bad.
All right.
Caveman talk.
So. Good enough.
Me don't like where you talk about Yaniko.
Yaniko
okay, now it's
good.
Yaniko got pretty hair.
I'm up on the Magic, right?
Yeah, you're up on the Magic.
All right, stop talking.
New look Magic.
Yeah, the new look Magic. They look different.
Hence new.
Yeah, that's what different means.
I'm having a really off day, but I think it's going to lead for some entertainment. So, I still really love this team. I mean, I'm going to backtrack on everything I just said. I don't love this team, but I like them in a way that an older brother likes a younger brother.
Where are you
going with this analogy? Yeah. That was a simultaneous where are you going with this?
It's kind of like...
It's like rain on your wedding day? What are you getting at here?
When you're watching someone that you love... Not that I love
we
it.
all love MSC. Go on.
Alright.
Especially Dub.
I'm going to start over. This part's not going to be included.
Oh, you better leave it.
No, it's all going to be in there. It's like when you love a young brother.
Should I upload this podcast just raw, just like no editing, like?
Well, besides the beginning.
Just take out the beginning and then just say fuck it and upload it.
Yeah, why not?
I think that'll be good. That'll let some people know that we're idiots.
All right, talk about this damn team.
Talk about the Magic. Let's go.
I was talking about formatting things are important. The Magic are good. They have Dale Smith and he's good. Dale Smith. I don't. You're really throwing me off my game. I'm gonna cut this part out. This is the only thing I'm gonna cut out because this is bad right now. Dale Smith. Dale Smith is really good. He's been a key part to this Magic team for the last 2 seasons. This will be his third, but he made a huge stride last year in assists per games. He settled in at that point guard spot. His assist to turnover ratio is beautiful. He's a good defender. He can score really well, which is something he hasn't always been able to do. So it's good that he's scoring good now. And then, obviously, the big thing for this team in the offseason was the Pierre Lewis trade. That Pierre Lewis trade was huge for them in many ways. I think they bought him really cheap. I think Pierre Lewis, he only had 24 points a game last year. I think
somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he got him for a lot cheaper because of that than he normally would. And I think Pierre's just gonna just bump right back up on this team. His handling went up in training camp. He still looks good. It's still A+ defense. You can still rebound. I think. And
he actually had his best year ever shooting threes last year. Significantly improves on his 3-point shooting.
Yeah. I think the one big disappointment for them this year was Ramon Wright. I think they needed a lot more out of him in this training camp to be a good, solid team this year. Because right now they have nothing at the small forward position. I mean,
yes.
Unless you play Jonathan Marshall there, but even Marshall is not good. He can just defend. They don't have a third scorer on this team.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Orlando looks like they can actually compete for the East this year with Pierre. But they don't have a small forward. They have nobody at small forward.
Yeah, no small forward. And other than, I guess Decaser can score pretty well. But
yeah, he's good. He's a good player.
But, they don't have...
Is that how you pronounce that? I thought it was DeCesar.
No, it's Decaser.
I pronounce it DeCesar.
I think we had...
Ray or whatever.
I swear you're wrong. I'm going to look this up.
I know. I'm sure I'm wrong.
I think I was. I think we had this exact argument last year, and it was Decaser, and I was wrong.
We just had the argument in the chat on what it was.
Who knows? I agree with Mofo's sentiments. This team's good. But they really need a small forward. They need someone else who can put up because
he's got the assets to get a small forward too. Like Jay Wire went up in training camp. He's a really good asset now.
Yeah,
Sheng Lau is a really good asset. Charles Bond could be a good asset. He can get a small forward.
Yeah, Ramon Wright, even could be included in a trade,
Yeah.
Because he's not done or anything. He's not a busted...
Or
Jonathan Marshall.
Either one.
Jonathan Marshall went up in training camp. He could be a good asset.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. And he's got the Rockets first this year, so he at least has a first, even if it's not good, I
heard he might move that first, actually.
Yeah, well, I've heard some rumblings about that as well. So, I think he could do it. I think if he gets a small forward, I think he'll be good. That's all there is to it. If he can get a small forward, he's good.
Yeah, I think even if he gets a shooting guard, I don't know. Pierre, I can't remember if he
Pierre.
sucked at small forward, but
he's a little worse. He's a little worse, but he's still very good. So.
Oh yeah, he's still very good, but he's not Pierre elite anymore.
No, not there.
All right, let's see who's next. The Cavaliers, I think, right? Yeah, that's me. That's Cavs.
The Cavers.
The big trade he made with Hodge is kind of pointless now because...
Not for me.
Yeah, pointless for... Yeah. That's a trick
But for
combo
him,
right
yes.
there. That's
yes,
a huge
but
trick
for
combo.
him, it was kind of fun.
Overlock went up a lot. He actually had a huge breakout training camp. He went up in rebounding too, which is actually an underrated element for him because he's so bad at it.
Right.
So if he gets better at that, that's huge. But his scoring obviously is the big thing. He's B+, B+ now. And Sip went down in outside handling and defense. That's just rough. He's nothing but a backup now, probably, to Overlock. And then his other major addition was like Julian Lewis with the mid-level, who also went down in defense.
Yep.
He did not have a great training camp. I mean, Ashford became like a better all-around player, even though Magus is upset with that. I guess he was upset in the chat during the training camp.
It wouldn't be a chat though if Magus didn't leave upset. So
I guess so. But his main thing right now. He's got like 4 really good point guards. Yaroslav he had a good training camp. He's actually looking promising if he can score. And Hancock went up in defense and rebounding, which surprised me. So he's got 4 point guard assets to somehow improve his team. But this team is so similar. It's like the Nets. They're better than the Nets have been previously, but there's like no upside to the team right now. If Overlock actually plays like his scoring is now, then this team could actually compete for the Central. But I'm guessing he's only going to be like a point or 2 game better, and they're going to end up as like a 5 to 7 seed again, and probably lose in the first round.
I think if I was running the Cavs, I would start Overlock, but I'd have him like on a short leash. And I mean, Sip obviously had a bad TC, but I think if Overlock like really underperforms, I would probably see how Sip does starting.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'd give him a shot at least. Well, I wouldn't give him a shot if Overlock just plays great right away. But if Overlock plays, I think they're better at point guard than they were last year, where it seemed like they had like nothing going on there.
Yeah, now they have 4. Like
mediocre. Yeah.
Yaroslav and Hancock actually have good upside.
I want to throw an idea out there that is a little off the wall. But what if
I'll get my glove and catch it. So let's.
All right, go ahead.
I'm about to just punch Hodge in the face. I mean, I'm not sure if my hand will reach through the computer, but if it could, I would just hit him.
All right, go ahead.
Sip, I would try starting Sip at point guard and Overlock at shooting guard. I think.
No, I don't think so. He can't score enough Overlock to play shooting guard.
Sure he can. I mean...
Oh, he can't.
You don't know that since his scoring
Pretty
just
sure,
went up.
Look at his outside shooting last year. He shot 30% from 3.
Okay, but look at his assists and turnovers last year. Does he play those well enough to be a point guard? And I don't think the answer is...
Better than he does at scoring, at least, though.
I don't know, and I think you could really hide a Kree's defense if you had him off the bench at small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. I think there's...
Well, yeah, that'd be ideal, but...
Yeah, but he doesn't have anybody better. I feel like if he played Overlock at shooting guard, it would offset the good training camp he had because a lot of Overlock's points come from him handling the ball so much at point guard.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I would not... I still wouldn't start Overlock over Sip at point guard, no matter what his scoring did, because I know Sip is going to get 10, maybe even, like a low 10, high 10 assists per game, whereas Overlock's going to get 7.
He was below 10 last year, Sip, and then he went down in handling, so that's a worry.
I think he'll be fine. I don't like Overlock at all anymore. I really had high hopes for him when he came out, and I don't think he could have all A minuses across the board except for rebounding next year, and I would still just assume he's going to play like ass. So
this is his last shot as a starting gig. I think he's got to start right away. You got to see if that training camp translated to results. If not, then you give Sip the ball.
I guess I agree with that.
Yeah, that's probably how I'd run it if I were running it.
But do you guys agree with me on the assessment of them being like a 5-7 seed if Overlock doesn't improve drastically?
I think if Overlock doesn't improve, I think they're a 7-8 seed.
Could be.
But I think if he does, they can move up faster.
Yeah.
Or if Sip can play anywhere close to last year, they'd be better.
Yeah.
Also,
you get to do a click member here. You get to do the Warriors.
Yes, the Warriors.
Part of the click-spiracy we have going on.
Mr. Conspiracy. You got your own conspiracy of conspiracies.
I know. I'm
Jesse
Ventura up in this bitch today. So
nice. The body. Speaking of bodies, this team has 15 of them, or maybe less. I didn't count one.
All right. That's weird.
That's a good start.
They have 15. I like the Warriors. I think I think this team is much better than like any other donor team I've ever seen him put together, including the one that made the Eastern Finals and beat me, which sucked. But I think adding Wayne Selden was absolutely a huge move. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even sure why that he was traded. I understand that you are hoping that Fowler would go up, but I wouldn't have traded Selden at that point. I think him, Harris, Lloyd's, TC, he went up again. That's a great trio right there. That's also good on defense and can score.
He's starting John Fields at small forward over Selden, though.
What?
He's starting John Fields, yeah. I don't know.
I don't like the Warriors at all this year because they're starting John Fields over Wayne Selden.
No, you know what? You're off this because that's such a good decision. John Fields.
No, it's not. No,
Go on.
Yeah, well, you guys are part of the conspiracy, so I wouldn't expect you to rate this move highly.
No, Wayne Selden has been the glue that holds the Pistons defense together all these years.
And John Fields can score like 25 points a game, so...
Yeah, I'd give up 26.
Hey, he went up in defense.
I love John Fields, but Wayne Selden should be starting on this team.
I said he went up in defense,
plenty.
but I was wrong about that. He did not go up in defense.
I think Fields I agree, he's a great scorer, and I think he could be a great scorer off the bench at small forward and shooting guard, and you can get Selden in there who's going to drastically help their defense compared to a guy like Fields. And it's not like Selden can't score. He's not an inept scrub that's like, he's not Rick Highsmith, he knows how to score points.
I'm just not, I don't know, I'm not as high on Selden as you guys are, I guess. I don't think he was the glue that held everything together.
You'll see when Detroit falls apart on defense this year.
Well, yeah, because they've made a lot of other dumb moves, and Kevin Hurts declined. I mean, that's not the only reason.
They have no small forward.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Tosh. Continue your assessment.
Anyways, Christopher Lloyd, as mentioned, just seems to be getting better and better. His handling went up again this TC, so he's like getting more like a real point guard, but he's still scoring like he did before. He's been a great scorer like pretty much any time he's gone to play. I love Ryan Brunn, especially at center, but even at power forward, I guess he might be all right. But he's probably better at center. I think his defense goes up there, and he just produces.
No, it's the same.
Doesn't? Okay, well, either way, he's a 2011 guy, so, I mean, you can't ask for much more. He's pretty much averaged that the last 2.5-ish years. Michael King was all right last year. Not as good as you'd hope, but I think the Warriors will be better than last year. I think adding Selden adds a good dimension to their defense. Andre Hood had a good TC, which also is going to help things. Dale Green even looks all right. Glenn Landers. This is a good, deep team. I think Lloyd, Harris, and Fields will be all right. Not as good as Selden, but that's just my opinion that others may disagree with. But and I think another thing with Selden is if you put him and Brunn, like you can start even looking into like an outside offense because then you have 4 very good outside shooters that you can put in your starting lineup.
Oh, okay,
and Fields can shoot all right outside.
And he's not going to get anything out of the center anyway, even in a balanced offense.
I hate. Yeah. The one thing I will say I hate about his depth chart is Michael King starting. I hate Michael King.
Well, who's he have better? Andre Hood, I guess.
Anyone. I'd start Dale Green. Yeah. I'd see what Dale Green can do.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd probably give Hood a shot ahead of Green personally.
Yeah, probably either one of them. I would see what they can do. They're better than Michael King.
And Brunn can play center. I mean, he's shown that. He's very heavy, so that's why he can play center. He's 271 pounds.
But I think donors down on his team more than I think we are. I think we can all agree he's going to be a playoff team again, right?
I fully agree.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if he does what I say and not what he wants to do.
Yeah, if he starts selling
which is an absolutely horrible thing to say, but yeah. He gets a lot of blocks, too, which is an underrated part of his game.
I like Donor's team.
I do. I just said I like them a lot. Also,
next up is the 76ers. We got like 10 teams left already, hour and a half in, so let's try to move a little faster, I guess.
Yeah.
Sixers are up.
All right.
Tyler.
The Sixers obviously made the big move, trading Rob Andrew, which at the time I wasn't quite sure of because, I mean, they had a solid team going. I mean, that combo of Pickens, Andrew, Royce Lopez, that seemed to be working pretty well, in my opinion. Rob Andrew got hurt last year, and that kind of messed things up a little bit.
But then they got swept in the playoffs, so that didn't work.
Right, but I think people react too much to one playoff sweep, and I don't. Yeah. I think that there was more that could have been done there.
The Pacers weren't exactly a regular 4 seed, you know?
Right. Yeah. But with the Sixers, I like this team, and I think Cecil Layman could be a star eventually. He's got some work to do. He's got to get his rebounding up, but I think he looks pretty good. And Quesada made some steps into looking like a somewhat formidable draft pick. And then, I'm obviously Joe Pickens is just a man of all sort of degrees.
He's ridiculous.
That's just a beast of a player. Yeah. It's really a wonder to me how he didn't get picked number 1, but that's another time. I don't know. I think because Royce Lopez dropped in defense, he went up in handling though, so it's kind of a trade one for the other kind of deal. I'm not quite sure how I think this team's going to fare. I keep flip-flopping on it. I think they'll make the playoffs, obviously, because the East is just bad.
They're way too good not to make the playoffs with Pickens and Zimmerman.
Right. My first initial reaction when Rob Andrew was traded was, what the fuck? Right.
But they got Harry Hazen for him, and Harry Hazen had a really good training camp.
That's what I was about to bring up. I really like Harry Hazen a lot. I think he's got. I was worried about his handling originally, but then that went up in training camp, and now I have nothing to say about him because he just looks great.
Yeah. And he improved a lot from his second year from his first year. If you look at his percentages, they're like significantly better in the almost exact same amount of shots and everything. He just improved a lot from one year to the next.
Yeah. And the Sixers did a good job adding. They have 3 firsts this year, which can be used to upgrade the team if need be at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of them will be lotto first, but it'll still help.
No. So. But I think Ron's, he's done a really good job with his team, like recovering from Omar Thomas. Obviously, he got a little lucky to get Joe Pickens, but still, I think his starting 5 can be good. I still think, I've been saying it for years, that Perry Zimmerman should be playing center because his defense goes up there.
I agree. I strongly agree with you, and I think now when you don't have any center at this point, I mean, who will probably start for them? Layman, I would assume.
Yeah, probably, or Caseta.
Right. Why not just try Layman out at power forward and Zimmerman out at center? It can't hurt.
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Why not.
If Zimmerman's a better defender at center, he should.
Have you IM'd or PM'd Ron about this? Because clearly he doesn't listen to the podcast. So.
I think he asked a position change. He asked about Zimmerman and he asked about, and he went up at center. So he asked a couple years ago too. It didn't make a difference. He still played him in power forward.
That's ridiculous to me.
That's Ron. He likes to do his own way. He likes to go his own way about things.
This team should be a. Do you think they could challenge for the Atlantic?
Maybe.
Yeah, if it all comes together. But I don't think their starting 5 is as good as you think it is because I don't know who's going to start next to Zimmerman. But definitely Pickens and Lopez, and if Hazen can play as good as he looks, I mean that's
they have 2 question marks right now, and it's either Layman and Quesada. I mean, depending on who starts there, and Hazen. I mean, Hazen looks good, but will he play good?
He's got to prove it.
But I mean, if everything pans out, they could challenge for a 1 seed, and if Hazen and Layman don't really pan out, they'll probably be 6 or so.
Yeah, and they got Neil Suarez, who's a good bench guy.
6 man, yeah. All right. The next up is the newly formed Polo Run Nuggets. I mean Knicks. I said Nuggets already.
I already messed it up. Wait, how do we get on the Knicks?
Because they won 46 games last year.
Oh,
yeah. My division sucked last year.
They were the 2 seeds, so that messed me up.
All right, let's see. Well, Polo obviously has transformed this team completely already, and he's already added the Polo touch to a training camp with Paulino and Doyle having huge training camps.
Yep.
And he's got the Heat first, which might not be as good as we thought after we went over. But he's got 4 firsts this year, 2 next year, 2 after that. So he's already loaded up on that to improve his team.
Yeah.
Jim Castanon.
I don't like any of those firsts, though.
You don't like the Heat first still?
Nah, I don't know. I'm higher on the Heat than some people.
Yeah, we'll see. But he's on the verge of trading Castanon for maybe like 3 or 4 more firsts. So that could be huge for him to stay. He's I mean, Polo's a great drafter. He drafted guys like Nenad in the 20s, so he knows what he's doing there. So the more firsts he has, the better for him.
Right.
But he's already got a guy like Doyle and Paulino to build around. And, I mean, the rest of the team is kind of like still scrub left over, like Horatio Peel and Mason Frederick and Jacob Washam. They're all kind of scrubbish. And Edgar Holford is way overpaid, but I'm sure Polo will get a way to get a first for him or something, because that's just what Polo does.
I like Holford. He can get a first out of me. So
there you go, Polo. Get a first out of Tyler.
Yes. Future king Edgar Holford.
As if trading with Polo hasn't worked out well enough for Tyler yet, it's gonna trade a first for Edgar Holford now.
Adding Mofo to my hit list.
As if trading with Polo has ever worked out for anyone, almost ever, really.
I think my Pierre Lewis trade with him worked out very well. So
yeah, okay.
Oh wait.
But this team has I don't think Polo has any interest in making the playoffs this year, and I don't think he will with the team they have now. Especially if he trades Castanon, they'll be pretty bad. But
yeah.
Polo's got a process already. He's already made some great moves, and he's on his way to making the Knicks legit for a long time coming.
He may not be trading Castanon. Just throwing that up there.
Yeah. He will trade him if he gets the deal he likes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I offered him about 5 firsts, and he was still iffy about it. So
he's gonna get some. I've heard that Shadow rumor. I don't know what the deal is exactly, but we'll see.
There's no way Shadow could give him more than I offered. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
He's got the Celtics first.
I think Anthony Bennett's pretty good, too.
I've got the Celtics first next year, so I don't know.
Polo wants his own first back, which Shadow has.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I'll be disappointed if that trade happens.
So, so Taj is next, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the OKC Thunder. This team has, 4 great starters. Benjamin Gonzalez, you know exactly what you're going to get. That's 2010 right there. Willis is a great scorer. Anthony Jones is he's like the new Marcus Thornton. He's like one of the best number 2 guys in the league. And Dirk Van Gilder always seems to overcome mediocre-looking ratings to produce solid years. That's 4 great players. I love all those guys. I'm sure any GM would love to have those guys on their team. I don't like anyone else on the team other than those guys.
Wow. Damn.
Almost nobody else.
Yeah, I
Bob
guess they don't have a Wayne Jones.
Yeah. Sorry about that. No. But, I mean, Bob Torgerson.
I like Torgerson.
All right.
He sucks. He's horrible. Every time he plays, he's horrible.
Okay.
Robert Rojas pretty much died as soon as he got there. Henry Luna can't even get time anymore to make free throws. I mean, this is a team where yes, I know. This is a team where Jerry Smoot is one of the better bench pieces.
What's wrong with Jerry Smoot? I like Jerry Smoot.
Well,
bench guy. What's wrong?
Okay.
I don't know.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
What's wrong with Jerry Smoot? A defense, BP scoring. What's so bad about that off the bench?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know you're so defensive about Jerry Smoot. Jerry Smoot's a good guy off the bench.
Jerry Smoot is a saint.
I just don't see what's so bad about him off the bench.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I've never
liked him.
Right. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, why don't you just cave to Mofo's thoughts? That's what everyone always.
Well, it's I mean, I didn't look thoroughly at his numbers. Jimmy Guerrero is always kind of frustrating off your bench. He seems like he should be good, but he's just so inefficient with his
I think
offense.
Dave Kaplan should be getting plenty of playing time because that A defense. I mean,
I think you might as well
A inside. Sorry.
I think you could just give anyone any time because they all suck off the bench. So
I think Dave Kaplan could be.
I think this is a bad bench and a bad center. And
I have a theory on Oklahoma City. I don't know if you guys. It's happened before in this league. I can't remember it, but they just have too much scoring on this team.
Are you talking about when I put Karan and Westbrook and Tyreek together?
They have Anthony Jones only averaged 19 points a game last year, but and Chris Willis was down 3 or 4 points a game. But I told Baldwin you should trade Anthony Jones for stuff that makes the team better all around because the last thing you want to do is take shots away from Chris Willis right now. You want Chris Willis to shoot as much as possible. You don't want him to shoot 3 or 4 times less a game. And Anthony Jones and Benjamin Gonzalez and Dirk Van Gilder all shoot a lot. So if you get rid of one of those guys to make the team better all around, I think Oklahoma City would take off. Right now they just have too much scoring.
In 2027, Chris Willis played 38 minutes a game. And last year he averaged 39 minutes a game. So he was up 1 whole minute a game last year than he was the year before, and he took 200 less shots last year than
exactly. Why you do not want that? He's so efficient. You don't want that to happen. He's the best scorer in the league. He just went up in training camp too.
Yeah.
Which is insane, by the way.
I feel like you could probably trade Anthony Jones and get back a starting shooting guard and an actual center that should be playing in this league.
I'd agree.
Make the team better all around.
Yeah, and then it'd be better. But, I mean, it's hard to break up when you have 4 players as good as them, but the rest of them just suck. I just don't like them. I don't like their other players.
It's clearly not working because they went out pretty easily in the first round last year despite all his talent.
It really, I don't try and talk about my previous failures too much because there's a lot of them, but it really reminds me of when I put Johnny O'Brien, Karan, Westbrook, and Tyreek on the same team.
Yes, and that's what I was thinking of, that example. That you had too much scoring on the team.
And then I had Peter Farmer at center, so once again I didn't have a real center like he did.
Yeah.
So.
It's like too many chefs, whatever, something about the kitchen, whatever that expression is I'm trying to think of. Too many chefs spoil the broth.
Well, I don't think that's a thing.
It's an expression.
As presently constructed, Oklahoma City, they're like stuck in the 4 to 5 seed range with no hope of winning in the playoffs unless they get really hot.
I agree. I strongly agree with that. I think they need a better point guard too. I mean, Van Gilder,
he's okay.
He's okay.
He had his best point guard season last year. His assists were up a lot. His turnovers were down.
He's definitely okay, but if you could get someone else to put with Chris Willis and Benjamin Gonzalez, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if you can get a pass first guy like Grundy, but that's pretty hard to get.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I wish I could get Grundy.
Oklahoma City 47.
It's either
next?
The Spurs or
Spurs. Yeah, Spurs or Mavs.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the Mavericks because Dub's my dog, homie.
The champions.
He's pretty good.
Oh yeah, and this is as close as I'll get to a title, so that's nice too. I mean, the Mavericks are the Mavericks. They won the title last year, and they're probably going to be the favorites to win it again this year.
But they have issues after training camp. You gotta.
I'm getting there.
Go ahead. I'm just telling you.
Dustin Sanders is obviously the most worrying thing I think on this team. Everyone will say it's Lorenzo Clay, but I'll get to that in a second. I think with Dustin Sanders, I mean, he went down in inside, he went down and outside, and then up one in handling, which I guess is okay, but I wouldn't panic on him yet, but I think there's a real case for them to try and find a better small forward. I think they need to get someone who's like the Sanders mold, where they add defense and rebounding and don't need to score that much, but the problem is that they need to be able to do something on offense. I think
who might fit there is Edgar Holford.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. I really like Edgar Holford on this team. I think that would be a great fit for them. I don't know what they can move to get him. I guess they have a first. That'll probably be pretty late. That would make sense. But I mean, this team is just fantastic. Lorenzo Clay, I'm not bothered at all by him going down to B- handling. Not even.
Me neither.
I'm not even in the slightest. I heard some people like, "Oh, Lorenzo Clay, B- handling, he's falling off," but he's not at all. It's a mirage.
Yeah. He's not, and you're stupid if you think that. You're a stupid person.
Why are you GMing? This team's just set. They're set for a while. I mean, Clay is 31. When he hits about 33, 34, then you need to start worrying about this team. But until then, they're golden. I mean, McDowell went down one in tick and rebounding, which is a little concerning. But he also went up to A inside. And for him to have A inside at this point, when he looked like a bust in his previous life, because I assume he was reborn or made a deal with the devil, because he's incredible now. I mean,
A inside can't be taken lightly.
Yeah. No, that's phenomenal.
Plus, Greg Gray went up to A in rebounding anyway, so that could help cover that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep, that was the next point I was going to make. They have, I mean, their four-man rotation is Brian Freeman, Larry McDowell, Greg Gray, and Michael Tussing. And even if you hate Tussing, he's not a bad option to have as a third stringer, you know?
I would disagree with that, but I'm the most vocal hater.
Right, but I mean, as a third stringer, as a starter and second string, I can understand. But as a third stringer,
I don't think he could shoot or rebound, so I'm not a fan at all.
I think,
he plays so few minutes, it doesn't even matter really.
And then they have Tane Sun, who is incredible scoring wise, great handler. This team's good. I think this team's really, really, really good.
And you can't. You didn't mention him, but you can't say enough about Eric Bauer after last year's title.
Oh,
he's like the new peer.
I'm doing an article. So I don't want to plug it, but I'm doing an article. You'll see it tomorrow probably.
I don't want to plug it, but here's the plug.
I don't want to say what it is. It's a surprise, but Eric Bauer is like featured heavily in it, and he's just amazing.
Is it the best German players in EBL?
No, but
Okay.
Eric Bowers at the top of the list of the article I'm doing tomorrow. He's incredible. He's the guy you want in EBL right now going forward after winning a title last year.
Totally agree. Yep.
Mm-hmm. He's very good at basketball.
And then Brian Freeman, Brian Freeman is so just like underrated. He's like
I've been saying
I don't think he's underrated anymore. I think we all know Brian Freeman's
but
one of the best centers in the league.
Do people consider him? I consider him probably like 1B after Kenneth Marshall at 1A, the best big man in the league.
That's literally what I've been saying for years. I think, Mofo, you and I are the only ones who feel that way. That it's Marshall and Freeman.
I feel that way. I never said they was.
Shut up, Hodge.
Okay, sorry.
He's just won so much with the Knicks, and now he's winning.
Freeman.
Now he's winning with the Mavs. He's just incredible.
I love Brian Freeman. I really do. He's great.
So get lost in his eyes.
So your projection is a title favorites again, Tyler, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see anything that they're not.
I think they need a small forward to be the favorites again.
No, I don't. I think they're fine. I think if they get a small forward, they'll be the clear-cut favorite. But I think now you can't say they're not the favorite.
I think they're one of the favorites, but I don't think they are the favorite. I don't know who is the favorite though. I don't know what to see.
Yeah,
all right, so it's me
on
doing
with the Spurs.
Yeah, San Antonio.
You can talk about your buddy Josh.
Yeah.
Assistant GM / conflict of interest. That's a conspiracy right there.
What?
The whole league is a sham, so don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, well that's good.
Okay, so he made one big move. He traded for Gerald Dunn, which makes no sense to me at all. It didn't at the time, unless he was going to trade Nenad, which he didn't. And then Dunn had a horrible training camp, so that's a waste of a first, basically. But he had maybe like my favorite pick of the draft, but it was a CPU pick. Alexander Peacock. He went 52nd, and he went from C+ to B rebounding, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
In one training camp.
Yeah.
So I think that guy's a future, like maybe max level player in 2 years if he has another huge training camp next year. But as far as his team goes,
birds too, so.
Yeah, that's why I mean that the max guy. As far as his training camp goes, it was pretty much a disaster.
Yep.
Oh, my phone's ringing again.
Oh, what the hell? Joe Break went down. I think, West. Well, I guess it wasn't a disaster because Roscoe Brown looks like the second coming now after that training camp he had. But
that's true.
Fuentes, I guess he had a better training camp than I thought. But Wiggins going down really kills me, and Break going down is never a good thing. But overall, this team is they made the West Finals last year. They could easily make the West Finals this year. They could win a title this year. Nothing would surprise me. They're very talented. They're very good. They're very deep. Fuentes, Brown, and Dunn's a great backup. Peacock, Sampson was a great pick. They can go like 10 or 11 deep, and their starters are really good.
I mean, I still like Tim Craig. I think he'll be fine at center, and I still really like Yermakov. West, he's just disappointing. I mean, he didn't go down at all, but
he went up and inside.
Yeah, I don't know. He's peaked. I think you said that last year. He's definitely peaked.
I said that after his second training camp to Thug. I think that's why Thug traded him, because I said that to him.
Yeah, well, Thug is impressioned by you. I could tell you to tell him to trade me Hamilton. Hodge, listen, you messed up this flow of everything, so.
I messed up this flow? You guys sounded like you were doing fine.
All right.
Okay. Hodge,
it's
you're
fine.
up now.
It's fine.
You are up now.
I would like to add that I think I think the reason Josh made the trade for Dunn is he was concerned about Nenad retiring. I think that was in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I guess for next year. Maybe.
I think Dunn's a good backup.
But Dunn's 30 already. He's not exactly like a successor to Nenad. He's only 6 years younger.
Yeah, but Nenad was 35. I mean, he could have retired that year.
No, he traded for him in the offseason. Dunn.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what I knew that.
All right, Hodge, you're up on the Pacers.
Yes,
Pacers.
I'm on the Pacers. The completely different team than last year. Yes, 100% different. It's obvious what Moron's doing. I know he was upset that I brought it up, but he's dumping all of his contracts to get expirings, which he did a good job of. He's collected a lot of firsts. The Kings first, particularly, will be good, probably. The 76ers and Hawks next year are, who knows? But, it'll depend on things. But also, he's gotten a lot of good young talent. I really like Brian Evans. I think he had a good TC. So did Willie McVicker. Those are two great young forwards. That's that could set up his big men for many years to come. He's got Rob Andrew, who he can trade for at least one first. I would think he's still a great player with great defense. He's smart at shooting. As for his team this year and what they can do, they have a lot of experience with guys like Derek Favors. I mean, if you put Evans, and I don't even know what I'd put for the starting lineup. I guess Evans, Favors, Alderman, I don't know, LeClaire, DJ White. It's a lot of old guys. I mean, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. They could if some miracles all come together. But yeah, I wouldn't put money on it.
No way.
But going forward, he'll definitely have a lot of cap space, which is good. He's got some firsts. The Kings first this year particularly could bounce good in the lotto, although I think they'll do a bit better than most people think, except for Tyler, who probably thinks they're going to win a title. But
Who thinks they're going to win a title?
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. And Koo, our rival podcast, which we need to snuff out.
I'm going to jump ships because you guys are on this conspiracy thing, and Koo has got my back, so listen.
All right.
Okay, well, this year, they probably won't make the playoffs.
No.
They have a lot of old guys. At least all the old guys get to retire together. Parker, Davis, and Favors. They can all sit on the rockers on the bench or whatever.
You know what he needs to do? He needs Anthony Davis goes up to A at small forward. For the first time ever, he needs to play Anthony Davis at small forward and see how he does.
Yeah.
I've wanted to see that for so long.
I'm going to IM him about that.
Either that or just put him everywhere off the bench. I don't know. Do something fun. Who cares?
What is he at point guard? Does anyone have any idea?
He used to be A minus.
A minus.
I want to see him at point guard.
I want to see him everywhere off the bench.
I hope he starts Favors and gives Favors a swan song season. Lets him go out in style or something.
Even though he's garbage now.
No, he's still decent.
Oh,
but
he's garbage.
Yeah, I guess. But regardless, this is just like a experimental season for him anyway. For more on.
The Rob Andrew trade concerns me.
We'll see a lot of guys. Richard Kennemer and.
I didn't really understand the Rob Andrew trade either. He traded first rounders for him.
Yeah.
I don't know why did he do that?
I
didn't get it.
I think his mindset is that on this team, Rob Andrew will have an exceptionally high amount of points, and then he can sell him for more than he paid for him and be like, look, Rob Andrew can score like 26 points a game, when in reality, he's closer to 20.
It's risky to do, but it's possible.
Yeah, especially after I just said his plan on the podcast and I later ruined it completely. Sorry again, moron.
Andrew's a good player, though, so.
Oh, yeah, he should be able to get things for him. Anyway.
No, but yeah, like you said, I don't know if he'll be able to get the same return on what he invested into him. But for the future, it looks good. They have cap room. They've got draft picks. Rob Andrew will be moved for more picks. He'll get picks for some of the guys he's got. I don't know, Rob Andrew. And he's got McVickers and Evans to build around. So that's pretty well set at the big men.
Yeah.
All right. There's 4 teams left. You get to pick either the Pistons or the Blazers, Tyler.
Ooh.
Very dynamic off seasons for both teams.
Pistons or the Blazers. Who's next after me? Mofo?
Yeah.
I'll talk about the Blazers so you can take the Pistons.
All right.
All right, so the Blazers. I should load up the new stat site instead of the old one. The Blazers, first of all, Ray Bonds. Just come on. I mean,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's the way this needs to start because he looks absurd. I mean, he looked absurd a few years ago, and then he kind of regressed a little bit, and we were all like, I don't know, Ray Bonds, and now it's like, oh, Ray Bonds, okay. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
He's phenomenally good. If he were playing point guard, he would be averaging like 30 and 11 with like 5 turnovers, but that's not.
Yes. Well, like 4 maybe, but
right.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what JB's trying to do right now because he was trying to trade Yoder, but he wanted to trade Yoder so he could get a better power forward. But he has Chris Brown, so I'm really confused about
I think everyone in the league knew that he wanted to trade Matt Yoder because he did it every single day in the shout box. It got really annoying. really annoying.
I'm honestly surprised no one had any takers, but his price was just too steep. I don't think a lot of people
probably.
It's JB. He wants the moon.
Well, right. I offered to give him part of the moon, but he wanted the whole thing, so I declined. But I still don't understand his plan because I think Chris Brown is fine at power forward. I mean, he's not the best in the league, but he's certainly not like a hindrance or anything.
No, he was an all-star last year.
Right. Mars Johnson, that team was great once they got Mars. I think it's a little bit disappointing that Brad Key didn't make a big leap in training camp. I think that was that probably upset him a little bit.
He's very disappointing. I think he's peaked, just like Allen West.
Yeah, he's like Allen West, but not even as good, probably, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this team's good. They'll be a top playoff seed in the West. But I'm not sure if the potential's there for a title run. I don't.
Yeah.
It depends on what he does with Yoder in the trading. If he moves Bonds back to point guard, he gets like something really good for Yoder, then he's a title contender. If not, he's probably gonna be a first or second round exit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I mean, I think I would just put Bonds at point guard and Yoder at shooting guard. I know that Yoder is not as good, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I'd probably do that
It just
too.
feels like Bonds has to play point guard at this point.
I agree.
He's just so good when he plays there. It's
I
like
agree.
Scott Duncan. You get a lot of turnovers, but he's going to score ridiculously, get a lot of assists, and he's a better defender than Duncan.
What would
He
make
was arguably
sense?
the best player last year.
What would make sense is if he moved Yoder for some firsts and then moved those firsts for Mark Clinton of the Grizzlies.
Yeah, but I don't think Clinton defends good enough for JB. His taste.
Well,
Anyway, we talked long enough about JB.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Now it's MPH, the Pistons. I'm up here.
Yes.
Well, I've made it pretty clear in my in the chat about how disappointed I am in the depth chart.
That's why I let you have it.
I cannot believe he is starting Juan Johnson. I think that is maybe the worst decision I've seen MPH make, and ever since he drafted Juan Johnson. That's the worst decision.
Oh.
It's true, though. It's so true.
It was a pretty bad pick.
But but the Selden trade was such a horrible decision. He wanted to trade 2 firsts with Selden. We gave him a mulligan, and he traded 1 first, and he still made the deal. It was horrible either way.
Yeah.
And then he was going to start Amato over Birch, which was horrible. But then he fixed that. But it doesn't matter either way because Birch went down in defense.
I think that would be an okay decision now that Birch has gone down. I think Amato might be better.
I think Birch is still better. But anyway, Joe Trammell going down and outside, I think hurts a little bit, even though he went up and inside. And then Duncan going down to defense is a killer because this team won for the past 2 years strictly because of defense and Scott Duncan. They always had the best player in the series. They always had the best defense in the series, no matter who they played.
Yep.
And
now they have neither.
Now they have
they still have Scott Duncan, but
still the best player in most series. But they have no small forward. Brian Fowler. Counting on him to have the second great training camp was foolish.
That was a terrible mistake.
He needed if he was going to trade Selden, he needed to have a deal in place to get another small forward somewhere because Fowler might be good eventually, but he's just not good now. Good enough to start now.
I think he's worse than last year.
Yeah, he went down to defense. So, but starting Juan Johnson is not the answer. That is a horrible decision, but I don't know what he can do. I said before training camp, before the Selden trade, Detroit was going to win 60 games and they were going to dominate the East. Nobody was going to have a shot. But now if things go wrong, I could see them missing the playoffs. That's how bad it's got right now.
I kind of agree.
I don't see them missing the playoffs.
I don't think they will, but if things go wrong, that's their downside now. They could miss the playoffs. But more likely with their current situation, they'll probably be like a 4 or 5 seed until they get a small forward.
Yeah, that's about where I would put them. Because they still have Ellen and Trammell, and Duncan is still a very good offensive player.
Elin is still awesome. Duncan's still amazing. Trammell's still solid, but they have question marks everywhere else. Their bench isn't even that good anymore.
No,
and I just can't get over starting Juan Johnson. It's
that's such a bad move.
All right, I think I've depressed MPH enough if he's listening to this.
I don't think any of us are on the Juan Johnson fan club.
I think MPH. I did talk to him a little bit about trade talks, and the way it came off to me is that he's waiting for at least a few sims, and then I think if his team underperforms, he'll just blow the entire thing up. So just get ready for that fallout.
Stupid. Yeah. That'd be very stupid.
But anyway. Jump all over Duncan now while you got a chance.
He might not have left himself a choice at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so the Pistons. Who's left?
Now,
there's two teams left.
Raptors. Canada's team.
Why do you always get
Canada's podcaster? Because I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian. That's how it works.
All right.
Maple syrup. Maple syrup. Maple syrup. Puts in. Remember when you looked at a puts in and you thought it was the most disgusting looking thing you've ever seen in your life?
Wait, what?
It looked
What are
like
you
pure
talking
fat.
about?
It looked like pure fat. Why would I want to eat that?
No, it was cheese. It wasn't fat. It was cheese.
It looked like
with
pure
gravy.
fat. It looked like you're eating fat.
It looks gross, but if you eat it, it's like
You're eating fat. I'm going to look up the calories. Go ahead.
you don't think it's bad to eat fat. You're not going to like to eat something with a little bit of fat in it.
Coming up later, we'll have our nutritional segment of the podcast.
I don't eat fat, man. I've been. I don't. Go ahead. That's
Okay, I'm sorry you're watching your figure. We're getting off topic a little bit.
EBL Weight Watchers.
Go ahead,
So,
the Raptors.
Toronto, their big off-season move, unfortunately, was losing Mark Clinton, which is really not the big off-season move you want to make. But they also added Dobro Goss Walzak. I think that's how you pronounce it. Why not?
I feel like he's a better fit than Clinton is on this team.
Yes,
I agree.
I was just going to say that. I think his rebounding is underrated to add to the team, especially some of their big men are not so hot on rebounding. They still have Mike Reynolds, who's like an offensive friggin' machine. Josh Grundy is a fantastic, one of the best point guards in the league. But the big men, it gets kind of ugly there. I mean, you can make a case that Mark Skull is their best big man right now, and that is not good. That is not good. And I like Mark Skull, but that is not good. Right. And then, I mean, who are you going to start with him? You could maybe say Tommy Hamilton. I don't know.
I think you can start Grant Jarrett again.
Washing up. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, wait. Grant Jarrett's horrible. You can't start him again.
Who's better, Joe Meek?
Grant Jarrett let Scotty Edwards lead the first round in rebounding last year. Scotty Edwards.
He did. Scotty Edwards wrecked Grant Jarrett last year.
He wrecked them.
I just don't see how Scotty Edwards wouldn't wreck Joe Meek, Tommy Hamilton, or James Myers either, though.
Well, he would. That's why the Raptors are going to be a lot worse this year.
So why not just start Jarrett?
Because he's proven to be a disaster.
Who else are you going to start?
He's a walking disaster.
Start
human tornado.
Why don't you just start Landon Lucas?
It's rough going for Petsa this year, I think.
Yeah.
The big man situation is pretty awful. But still, they have Steve Harris, who I didn't even mention, but he's still a very good scorer, probably. Hopefully. Walzak, I like Mofo said, I think he's probably better than Clinton in some ways for what they can need from him. And obviously Reynolds and Grundy is very hard to match by any combination of guards in the league. So, I mean, they'll make the playoffs, but I think first place is definitely going to be more of a proposition for them to finish first in the East again.
I think Reynolds and Grundy, that's a 1-2 I would take over Purvis and Cool.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's because Reynolds scores better, and Grundy
is awesome.
I mean, those two are good enough to make Toronto a playoff team in the East, but, I mean, if they lost to the Wizards last year when they had, like, one decent big man, who was their big man last year?
D1.
Yeah, if they had him, and now they have Mark Skull instead of him.
And that was a Wizards team that was, like, injured for, like, starting Paul Tinsley for 2 games.
Yeah, this team is a mess. Pets has a lot of work to do to make them even relevant playoff team again. They'll make it in, but they won't do any damage again.
I think, Grundy, Reynolds, and Wolczak, I think that's enough, to get them a high playoff seed, especially with Harris off the bench. But I think they'll probably be, I don't know, I could see them being even like a 2 seed, 3 seed.
You crazy? Come on, you crazy?
I think their big men are so bad that
I honestly,
no matter how good the other 3 guys are.
I can see them with the same fate as last year. I can see them being a really high playoff seed because Reynolds and Grundy carry them the entire year, and then they wash out in the playoffs.
I will bet you 6 months of a name that they are not the number 2 seed in these.
Can we go 3 or higher?
You said 2. You said 2 or 3.
Yeah, I said 2 or 3. So if we go 3, if they don't finish 1, 2, or 3, I'll change my name for 6 months again.
Do you really need another 6-month name bet?
You got a deal.
They're not going to finish in the top. They're not going to finish in the top.
You got a deal, Hodge. You're the witness.
Yeah.
6 months.
I mean, I have to do this because I thought of the only name that Mofo will actually legitimately hate.
You can do it because I'm not confident Toronto will be a top 3 seed.
Can we make a stipulation that it's like barred if he blows his team up or something?
if he trades Grundy or Reynolds, then the deal's off. Okay.
Okay. All right. Deal.
All right.
I'm gonna post.
I wonder
I'm
what
gonna
Tyler's name's gonna be. You start thinking now.
I don't know why I do these things.
It's fun. It's fun for everyone. I don't know why I said that. So last team, I guess we could all talk about this team since they finished in first, and since it'll be done faster that way or slower. Houston Rockets. Thoughts?
Are we on Houston?
Yes, Houston's last
only
team.
team left.
Oh.
That's my thoughts.
I abstained from
Yeah.
the conversation because fuck Thug.
He had a really bad training camp. Hamilton and Thomas both went down.
Yeah, that's true. John Wills looks really good again, though. I think he might have gone up, but maybe not. Maybe I just have nostalgic eyes for him. But yeah, Thomas going down. His handling going down is the real big issue for me, more so than his. Well, I think that's pretty much all that went down. And yeah, as you said, Omar Thomas going down. I mean, we'll see how it actually affects the way he plays. But if he can't score as good, that becomes a problem.
And he went down in defense too. I mean,
yeah, that too. I think I don't know. I mean, I guess their bench looks better than last year's bench, but I always feel like that's always the Achilles heel for a Thug team. It's not just that, but it's an assemblage of elite talent but it's just that. It's just a bunch of really good players, but they don't really mesh. I'm making my fingers do that little cross thing. You know what I'm talking about? When you cross.
right.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Like, they're not meshing together. Like, it feels like it's just a lot of parts that are all on the same team that'll win a lot of games, but I don't really know what, like, the formula is for the team.
No, I'm with you on that one.
If you know what I mean. I don't know if this understands what I'm trying to get across here.
As bad as training camp they had, if I'm going to pick one favorite to win the title right now, it's going to be Houston. Because I think the same reason they won 59 games last year is the same reason why they're the title favorites.
I still like Dallas more.
Yeah. I think they got swept by Spurs because the Spurs had, like, a plan.
They had a better, but, I mean, Hamilton and Wills, and I think Doug's eventually going to make a big trade for a power forward or shooting guard, which is going to put him over the top.
Yeah, because Knowles went down too. I mean,
no, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he went down to defense. You're right. Yeah, but it's not a huge deal. I don't think.
That was his big strength, though. So
I think he'll be about the same, though.
Yeah, he wasn't really that good on defense. I don't think.
I'm just saying, for the first time in his EBL career, the game has listed him below someone else. I mean, I know that's not a huge deal to everyone, but when the game constantly ranks someone high like that, and then they suddenly start getting listed below other people, that's always a big sign to me. I don't pay attention to any other thing like that except for that. So.
That's true.
All right, so I think we're at the end now. We get to make predictions. What do you? I'll go first since this was my idea. In the finals, I would say right now, I would say probably I'm gonna go on a limb and pick the Hornets.
Oh,
the Hornets to win the East, and the Hornets and the Spurs. And I'm gonna have the Spurs winning the title this year. What do you guys got?
I got Mavericks for a repeat. I've got Mavericks over. I got Mavericks over. Who do I pick out of the East? I got.
That's not a team, just so you know.
I got the Mavericks over the 76ers.
Oh,
kind of bold.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you got?
I'm gonna also pick the Mavericks. Not very bold, but I think they'll emerge from a very loaded West. And I'm gonna say they beat the Wizards because I'm very egotistical. But I also like the way my team is built, and with the way the East is right now, I wouldn't be shocked if my team won it.
Oh, well, then
take that as either a compliment to my team or an insult to the East. Then the way you want to take it.
I pick Kings over Heat. Then that's my final.
Oh, it's not the same as Kings over Heat. Come on.
All right.
MVP. If I wasn't going to pick my own team, I guess I'll go out on a limb and I'll say Cavaliers make the finals.
Interesting.
Overlock finally plays up to his abilities. They win their division, and then they get killed by Dallas in the finals.
All right. So, Haj, who do you got for MVP?
I'm going to go with Gary Hamilton to make up for his somewhat snubbing last year.
He won the MVP last year.
Passing of it. Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, then he'll win it again.
All right.
He's very good at scoring.
Tyler, who do you got?
I got Grundy.
Grundy. I'm gonna go with Pierre Lewis as a huge bounce back season in Orlando.
I think that's a very big possibility as well.
Yep.
All right, so rookie of the year, who do you guys like?
Oh,
Who are the rookies
let
this
me
year?
let me look at the drafting. Oh, jeez. Oh boy. No,
I'll go first here since you guys don't know.
I'll go first. I got my pick.
Oh, okay,
Same
go
as
ahead.
Blaine.
Philip Paulino is who I'm going to pick because it's as close to a point guard starting as we're going to get, and he also looks really good, and he'll be a top option on a poor Knicks team.
Mofo, why don't you go?
I'm also going to go with Philip Paulino. For
Oh,
the same reason Saj said, basically.
then I will say fuck you guys, and I will pick.
David Gus, maybe?
I'm gonna go Mark Flora. I bet Koo gives him big playing time, and I bet he wins.
It's possible. Okay, who do you got for GM of the year?
Oh, I'm going to...
Devonta.
I agree, Devonta.
Yeah, I was gonna say between him and Bauer because I don't know, I kind of like the Bucks. Maybe Seth, but yeah, I guess Devonta's probably the
And
current
then-
favorite.
I might vote for Seth out of pity. So I mean,
Well,
And
his
then
team can
defense-
play really good. I would pick him.
Defensive player of the year, I think it's pretty obvious. Kenneth Marshall again. You guys got
I-
anybody else?
I
I
think
will.
it's pretty obvious. Tyler Herron. No,
I'll pick Kenneth
Could
Marshall.
be Tyler
until-
Aaron.
I'll pick Kenneth Marshall until he retires. So
All right. We are running 2:20 here. This is very, very long. We got to end it.
all right, guys. That's it for today, and probably
That is
2
it.
weeks.
Wayne Jones for most improved player of the year.
Fuck off.
EBL.
Fuck you.
Oh.
Fuck
You
you.
deserve that, Osh. You deserve that for
It's-
bringing it up again.
I'm going. I'm just
I
gonna add-
had to bring it up one time. I barely brought it up the whole podcast.
All right,
So
let's-
this has
let's get
been me and Mofo. There was someone else here, but he was a dick, so I might have muted him out of the entire thing. So
Wow, that's gonna sound really weird.
All right. Hope,
They're just gonna
hope
be like,
everyone,
all right, this is
hope
too much.
everyone's, I hope everyone stayed to the end. This is fun to do.
Yeah, I hope someone listens to the end because this is good.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, everyone.
See you next millennial,
and fuck the Oklahoma City bench.
and fuck you, Hodge.
Oh.